What's up, everybody? It's Dale Luganville with Full Scale Outdoors Podcast. Greetings. Welcome to the program. Whatever. Hey, I want to say thanks to everybody who has taken the time to like this page and share this page and rate and review and all that good stuff. I certainly do appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. You guys are blowing me away. This podcast is growing like quickly, and it's all you guys, so I appreciate it. So let's keep doing it. Let's keep the train rolling. If there's anybody you think that might like it, send them a link in their text, all that good stuff. Let's just spread the word and keep this thing going, because there are still a few slackers out there. Just going off the numbers, my social media friends list, if you will. If you compare that to subscribers and such, they're slacking. There's no other way to put it. They're just slacking. So if you are following Full Scale Outdoors on Facebook or Instagram and you haven't subscribed yet, please go to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review where possible. Share it with somebody you might know on those social media platforms. And if you are just a friend of mine on Facebook, why haven't you liked the Full Scale Outdoors page yet? Just wondering. So, yeah, we get that out of the way. Also, we are open for business. So if you would like to do some fishing here in Minnesota, get a hold of me, 612-209-5438. You can obviously just send me a message on any of those social media platforms as well. I will get back to you. Goose hunts are available as well. Those kind of hard to book in advance, but just pay attention to my social media. And when I have fields available and blinds open, I will holla at you, and then just jump all up in my PMs or DMs or whatever the young kids are calling it these days, and we'll set something up. But definitely you can pre-book for a fishing outing. And as we creep ever closer, I know some people don't like to talk about this, but I'm actually excited for it. Ice fishing season, we are not too far. We're 2 months, probably less than 2 months away from the new ice fishing season, and I'm pumped. So I'm looking forward to that schedule filling up. So get in, get your dates picked, and get a hold of me, and let's go pound out some fish through the ice. It is a good time. I'll take care of you. So there, got through it all. Here we go. On today's episode, I have a young man who is a competition duck and goose caller. Obviously, he's a waterfowler. Pretty cool cat. And he goes by the name of David Goos. Yeah, that's his real name. How appropriate is that? I'm, severely jealous of his name. I should just change my name. That's bullshit. How come I didn't get a cool name like Fish or Goose or Hunter or something? I don't know. Just old Dale Luganville here. Make people stress out trying to spell it and or read it. But, hey, you get work with what you got, right? All right, but here we go. We're going to get into this one. It was a pretty good one, actually. I'm excited to see where this cat goes, so I'm not going to spill the beans. I want you guys to listen to it. And, again, make sure you are subscribed, you're liking, you're rating, reviewing, all that good stuff. All right, let's hear about it. Let's get to it. This is the Full Scale Outdoors Podcast with David Goos.
Oh, here we go, boys.
Go.
Ooh, I love that sound. This is a good one.
Have a beer,
Sir.
or Coors Light. Whatever.
Coors Light, yeah.
Beer, Coors Light. They were out of White Claw, so I couldn't get
White
any
Claw.
of that. Yeah, there's a shortage.
Yeah.
There's a big shortage.
Or what's that other drink? The Truly or whatever.
I have
all
no
the white
I don't
gals
know,
are-
and I don't want to know. I've already been busting my nephew's balls about White Claw because he requested it once. I was like, "What is wrong with you, dude?"
Sure.
They went on a beer run, came back with a bunch of stuff, some wine, and then some White Claw, and he went with a bunch of my sister and my nieces, So when they came in with White Claw, I didn't think anything about it, because, white girls. So,
Yeah.
and then I started poking fun about it, and they're like, we didn't get that. Trent wanted those. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Get out of here. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I've seen guys that drink that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
I was just at,
I'm like, I can't even do it.
I was
can't
at,
even
it doesn't taste like anything.
right, I know.
It's like alcohol for people that don't actually want alcohol.
Way too
I don't know,
sweet
it's
for me.
just-
Sugary,
It's just
whatever.
ridiculous. I was at a wedding not too long ago, and this was after we went to a bar after the fact, and there's like a back, like one of those meeting rooms or whatever, and there was like a table of old dudes in there. They had like some 25-year work or college reunion or something going on, and they were all back there drinking White Claws. I'm like, what?
No way.
Seriously, there was like
Oh
4
my.
old dudes drinking White Claw. I'm like,
Most of the
what?
old guys I know can put back these beers like it's nothing.
I know.
I mean, I'm like, am I going to be like that someday? Just
Yeah.
cranking them back.
I don't know.
Like,
I was like, what is going on? I don't even get it. So right out of the gate, I'm just gonna say that I hate that your last name is Goose.
you hate it.
I hate it. It's not fair, dude. It's not fair.
It's on my birth certificate.
It's just not fair, dude.
Yeah, it was. It worked out well.
Yeah, I
guess.
guess. Because I know I've heard of guys named Fish, but their
Fish,
parents
yep.
named
Fisher.
that as a first name,
Yep.
as a
Yeah.
fish. Hey, their name's Finn, and then they get into Finn. You're like, that's what. I mean, my nephew's name is Finn.
Right.
But,
okay.
I mean,
yeah, Finn.
he's getting into fishing now, but I don't
Sure.
know that he'll ever go, make it a career or anything like that. So I mean,
Right.
that would make sense. So, I mean, but like your last name is Goose without the E. But
Right.
still, I assume that's how it's pronounced.
Well, and crazy
No,
enough, yeah,
weird.
it's Goose.
It's not like some weird German like Gosh or something.
Well, okay, down the line, way back in the day, it was Goose.
It was.
It-
Well,
it is
was
a German-
It is
it
German.
is German
See,
name.
I'm not a
but
complete idiot.
But everybody I know has gone with Goose.
Goose.
And my dad's side is originally from Roseau, up where
Yep.
Polaris is out
Oh,
of.
yeah.
And Goose is a big name up there. So it's been Goose
Wow.
for a long
How many
time.
Top Gun references do you get on a daily?
All the time. All the time. It doesn't matter whether it was, baseball or whatever. It was Goose. Where's Goose at? Talk to me, Goose. Yeah.
How many times have you heard that exact line in your life?
Oh, a bunch.
Yeah.
A bunch. People rarely refer to me by my first name.
First name.
Yeah, it's
Which is
Goose. I'm fine by that.
David,
Correct?
Yes,
David,
okay.
correct.
I'm
It
so
was-
shitty with names. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I remember this one.
It was almost, get this, it was almost Hunter.
Hunter Goose? No way.
That was in
dude.
the cards, yeah. And
Wow.
I can't remember how it all went down, but my mom wanted David. And I was the firstborn, and they had a little dispute on what I would be named, and then my mom gave birth to me, and my
That's
dad's like,
crazy.
okay. Hey,
So the reason I
David.
hate that your name is Goose for those listening is you actually are a competition goose collar.
correct.
So it's
yeah.
just it's far too fitting.
Right. I remember my
Apropos.
first goose calling contest. It was the novice contest down in Rogers. This was 3 years ago, and it was I took 4th place. And when they said my name, it was like David, and it was like a
They're like,
3-second pause. And they're like,
what? Nuh-uh.
Goose.
They're like, this ain't real.
Right.
Somebody's fucking with us.
I'm like, I could show you my birth certificate if you want. It's Goose.
That's pretty
So-
cool. That's awesome. And you're wearing a Goose shirt. Is that like your
Yeah. So
logo?
I
Are you coming up with? Are you making a company? You're gonna make
yeah,
calls?
I'm
What are you
gonna
do?
not calls. I'm
Okay.
not gonna do that because I'm really happy with the calls that I have. But I'm gonna sell some apparel to start out with. I came up with a logo
It's
and
merch.
merch.
They call
merch.
it
okay.
merch in the
Merch
biz
apparel. Okay,
world. Yeah,
merch.
yeah, merch.
All right. Learning from the pro over here.
Yeah. He's got some merch.
Merch. Yeah.
That's
so
a sick
we're
logo though. I like it.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it, and we're gonna sell some T-shirts and some sweatshirts. One thing I'll be big on is selling like a lot of different colors of natural colored sweatshirts because there's a lot of situations where you don't even wear camo when you're goose hunting.
You're in
You know
a
what I mean?
layout blind. What do you need to be in camo
Right,
for?
you're in a layout blind or a panel blind or something like that,
Hey.
and sometimes it works out to just wear a natural color, whether it be green or black or khaki or white and snow cover
standing
situations.
corn.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna do a lot of that, and
Cool.
yeah, it'll be cool.
Right on.
Yeah,
That's badass.
right on.
You got a trademark and everything?
We're working
Better
on
get
it.
on
We're
it.
working on it. Yeah,
Someone's gonna
we're
steal that shit.
It'll be coming here pretty soon.
Right, cool.
So.
Cool, man. Cool. So how'd you get into the goose calling thing?
Well, I was started obviously hunting at a young age. I grew up in I have a WPA in my backyard, and it's pretty close to privately landlocked. So you either got to know somebody or live there to get on it, or walk a long
That
ways.
doesn't
Walk
suck.
like
But does have an easement, or there is a way to access it,
it is,
from a
but
road?
I mean, you would have had to really want to hunt that to get there. I mean, it's a long.
I do
walk.
stupid shit like that.
Right. Oh, I have too. I have too. But in this particular situation, it's right in my backyard.
I have a spot that is the bane of my hunting buddy's existence. I've tricked them into coming back there with me a few times. It's like 2 miles as the crow flies back into this
Holy
swamp.
smokes. Yeah.
Yeah, so now you put decoys on your back and a
Yep.
gun, and you got to
Oh,
wear
yeah.
waders because it goes up and down. It's high ground, and then you're thigh high in water. Then you're back up in high ground, then you're back in the water.
Sure.
And it's not like the ground underneath, even the water is actually pretty firm. It's like all gravel, but it's a long ways to go. And then if you're actually successful, you got to haul
Then you got to carry them
fucking
back.
birds out.
Right.
Even more weight.
Right.
Like you're coming
No
out
kidding.
heavier. I mean, depending on how many shells you burned up, but you're going to be carrying more weight out than you carried in.
Exactly.
In
That's
the
the
heat
plan
of the fucking
anyways.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time they went in, they swore it off. They're like, I ain't fucking doing this ever again. But I love it. I mean, it's not that it's a great spot because you can't really scout it. I mean,
Right.
I scouted it one year by hiking all the way in there and back out, and there was birds there. But just how hunting goes, we go there the very next day, nothing. We shot a goose. I mean, the birds just weren't. They just took off, and it got kind of chilly that. And it was like the first cool night of the, like late summer, like I think it was
Sure.
like opener or second, maybe it might have second weekend opener. So like
Sure. Were you scouting for geese
early.
or for ducks?
ducks.
Ducks.
Yeah, we were
okay.
going duck hunting back there.
Okay.
And they were there. There was woodies back there and mallards. There was even a couple teal hanging around. One day, not even one full day
It's almost
passed,
like they know.
and they were just like gone.
It's almost
well,
like
I
they
think
know.
they just took off. They just,
Yeah.
because that cooler weather must have freaked them out, and they made a small migration or a small move, or
Sure.
maybe they just switched food sources. I don't know, but they just weren't there
Right.
that next day, so we ended up having to hike out pretty much empty-handed. Well, we did shoot that one goose, which is kind of cool because we didn't bring any goose decoys. We go in there pretty light. I think we brought like a dozen duck decoys.
Sure.
It's a fairly small body of water when you get back in there. It just looks so cool. I mean, if you were blindfolded and somebody dropped you off there, outside of not being able to see mountains on the horizon, you'd think you're in fucking Alaska or something. It's just
That's pretty
awesome.
sweet.
You don't hear anything. Nobody else goes back there. The only shotgun shell I've ever found out there is one that I forgot to pick up or something. Like,
Sure.
I'm the only idiot that goes back there.
It is kind of nice to not have to necessarily, you don't 100% know, but if it is that big of a job, your average Joe Schmo is
No.
not going to go for that.
No.
He's
Not
like,
at
I
all.
want to launch my boat and get to hunt.
You got to
know
be
what
a
I mean?
moron.
Right.
And I'm a moron. I mean, I just do stupid shit like that. I'm not afraid of just a little bit of hard
good,
work,
though.
Yeah,
That's
because
good.
once you're back there, man, it's the best. I mean, it's tailor fitted for like an Argo. If you had an Argo,
Yep.
God, you'd be smiling. I mean,
That'd
you'd
be
have that
sweet.
whole place to yourself, and I wouldn't care if you shot a duck or not once you get back in there because, like I said, you just have the solitude. You're not dealing with the circus at the landing or people sky busting or all the shit that setting up in the dark.
Shooting your swing birds
Sun-
and stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
Sun comes up and there's a guy 75 yards down the cattails from you. You're like, what the fuck? Or that guy comes out right at legal and he's
Oh,
doing
man,
the rowboat
yeah.
deal out to his point.
Typical,
and you're like, oh,
right.
come on,
Right.
dude.
Don't have to deal with any calling that
Right.
sounds more like a swan or.
So there's none of that going on. That's one of the things I like about it. But
Well, and that's
kind
kinda
of
what-
crapshoot when you get back in there, though.
That's kind of what this spot was like. So, I grew up going back there, for the exception of maybe the neighbor boys sometimes. They were a little bit older than me hunting it. I, have that. And as far as, like, calling geese and stuff, I remember being really young and, when I had my BB gun and, picking off chipmunks and stuff. I just lived for that and all my
Yeah.
chipmunk stands in the woods and everything.
Chipmunk stands.
Yeah. Imagining I'm on the cover of
Oh, yeah.
Outdoor
yeah.
Life or
Your-
something like that.
With your Boone and Crockett monk.
Right, exactly. I was back there. I had my my boots on, and it had flooded up into my yard, and I had a wooden Falk's goose call. Have you heard of a Falk's goose call? We're talking old school.
Yeah, like vaguely.
Yeah. I had one of those that my grandpa had given me, and I
Still
just
got
knew
it?
that there was geese. You bet I do.
That's
I got a
awesome.
bunch of
That's cool.
vintage calls.
Cool.
Yeah, I collect them. But yeah, I was back there, and these 2-pack flew over, and I wasn't even hunting them, and I just started barking at them with my little call, whatever I could do at that point,
Yeah.
you know, and they landed right at my feet. I mean, that's probably to this day the closest I've ever been
Wow.
to 2 geese, and after that, I was like, this calling them in
pretty
stuff
much
is kind of fun. You know what I mean? So then after that, I had started hunting with my buddies, and, you know, I had always, you know, worked on my calling and stuff. And then it was kind of like I always kind of wanted to compete in a goose calling contest. And, you know, I would always practice and tell my buddies, yeah, someday I'm going to do it. And then they'd like go to game fair and go to the contest, and they'd come back and they'd be like, yeah, David, you're going to do that. Oh, yeah, you know. And then it kind of just like, you know, time out in my garage and, you know, some pissed off neighbors, you know, just over and over and over again. And I finally built up a routine and started doing it. So it's been really fun.
Do you mix up your routine, or you pretty much stick like polish what? Like,
you know, you're always trying to improve it, and there's small things. You know, after a goose calling contest, the judges have notes and like where they docked you, where they gave you points, and so you kind of know what you did wrong, and you kind of work on that. You know, sometimes, you know, my routine has changed significantly from when I started now, but I didn't change all that much this year from last year, just because I had a pretty good year. I won my first novice contest last year, so then I was done with that, the Grand National Novice in Kansas City at Rogers.
Sweet.
Yeah, I won that, and so then it was like, now I gotta compete with the big boys. So yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of that perfect balance between switching it up and trying to do the fancy stuff, and at the same time being really good at singing the song. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
So it's everybody does it differently, you know.
Well, I would hope so. Everybody does it differently. Otherwise, it'd get pretty boring listening to it.
Right.
But I mean, as like the judges, like what are they docking you on? Like, just bad notes? I mean,
yeah,
they
you know,
kind of hear what you're trying to do, and when you don't do it, they're like, oh, what was that?
It's tone. I would say like in the like an open level or world level, it's kind of what you didn't do that the winner did. A lot of times.
Okay, so it may not be a bad note, but it might.
Right.
The guy who won maybe had extra stuff.
Exactly. You know, more
made it
power,
more complex
more
or more
flow, better. You know, with your checkies, with taking your breaths. There's a lot of things that can dictate. You know, who wins a contest. But I can tell you that being in the bullpen a lot of times, you know, I've been cut first round. I've made it, you know, to the end. Usually every guy in the bullpen after the first or second round has a pretty good idea on who's going to win. Like there's been a couple times.
Does that get in your head? Like, I feel like you could kind of like self-defeat yourself if you're like, oh, that guy's totally going to win. So maybe you get up on the stage and you're not like giving it your best because you're like, oh, this guy's going to kick my ass
sometimes,
anyways.
you know, usually you practice your routine so many times that you get up there and it's just kind of, you just kind of do your thing. But you know, as far as like who wins the contest, sometimes you don't even know. Sometimes even the judges couldn't even tell you like why they like that routine, but just the combination of the flow and the technical difficulty and the power and the you know, just differential
the chicken
and the stuff.
Walk.
The turkey gobble, right? All that stuff.
Something I noticed, like I'm just dipping my toes in this whole world. You know, I was at Game Fair and watching the stage and. Yeah, everybody walks around. I'm like, so do you got to do that? Or I think I was asking either Nick or Joe. And it's like, no, but you're like, you do that to redirect like the sound. So you're making it sound like live geese. It's not the same constant volume. And
right. You know, I've kind of bounced around. I've found that I probably blow my routine better if I don't move around a lot. Just because if you're maybe more air control and different stuff like that. But sometimes you have to, because if you think you're trying to replicate or call, you're basically trying to sound like geese, right? You know, depending on what kind of contest you're doing, it's a little different. But if you think about geese landing in a pond, right, you have cattails around it. It's on water. You know, so the direction of the goose's head is going to play a big part in where that sound bounces off of. And, everything like that. So that's, when you're on stage, usually it's in a tent or a shed or something like that. And, you're using everything. You're using the ground. You're using the walls. You're positioning yourself where the judges are, using it all for acoustics and to get different tone.
And what are the different kinds of calling? Like there's different. Is there like a meat? Isn't the meat bird? Isn't that like a duck?
Right.
Call thing,
meat
though?
is more. Yeah, meat is more of a duck thing. But as far as goose calling goes, the three major contests are there is a live goose calling contest, which is only 60 seconds, and you just sound like live geese. You sound like the geese at the park. Then you have a two-man. Well, okay. You have a live, and then you have your open goose, which is what you saw at Game Fair, and that's simulating a hunting situation, and then basically simulating a hunting situation, and then who can do it the fanciest and fastest and the loudest and has the best flow. So that's what that is. And then there's a two-man goose, which is the same thing as an open, just two goose calls and working together. So
I saw a little bit of the couple. That's not called couples. What did you just say? Why
two man, yeah.
Not couples. We're not a couple. We are blowing at each other, but it's totally different.
Blowing goose calls.
Yeah. Do you do duck calls at all? Competition duck at all?
Yeah, I've done some meat contests. Yeah, two-man meat. I've never done a single-man meat, but that's always something that I've always wanted to try. For me, a lot of times if I'm traveling, if I drove this far,
you might as well enter that.
You might as well, And once you get kind of your first couple contests out of the way, you kind of lose some of that stage fright, and you're kind of just like,
whatever.
You're blowing a duck call. You're blowing a goose call.
Go blow on this thing.
It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. That's why we do it.
Yeah, it looks like it's fun, and it's a pretty tight knit community. I mean,
you bet.
Again, I'm just dipping my toes in it here, but I'm seeing the same faces. Obviously at Game Fair, which makes sense because it's
right
local. But even with that said, even the stuff like down at Rogers and just being on social media, again, I'm still seeing the same names, and I'm starting to recognize names, and then talking to Joe Hines and talking to Nick Johnson, like I'm hearing the same names over. It's like this isn't something. This isn't the NFL as far as like there's not every state doesn't have team, or there's not there's not hundreds of people doing this. There's
and
like
a lot of that
dozens
comes
of people
from,
doing this.
Well, yeah, I mean you go down to Rogers, and that's a Grand National, and it helps that it's a really good contest they put on, good payouts, it gets a lot of people, and it's in the middle of the country. So you go to places like Rogers, and you see a lot. It's a lot bigger crowd, being in the bullpen. You got guys from the West Coast, a lot of guys from the East Coast, and then you got a lot of Illinois boys, some Michigan, and then you have a big chunk from Minnesota.
Is there a big West Coast, East Coast rivalry? Is it like,
the
rap game?
Not so much West Coast. It's more like Midwest and the East Coast.
Yeah.
Who's
the biggie? Who's the biggie of goose calling, and who's the Tupac?
And as far as the East Coast
East side, West side, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm talking about. 'Cause I don't listen to any of that music, but
it
seemed like the right thing to say at the time. No, well, who would be a big name on the East Coast?
Trevor Shanahan. Yep. There's those East Coast boys can rip though, because they got
Where's
a
he from?
Guys. Believe Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah, he's a 2-time world champ, and then he's won a couple Main Street Duck. No, you know what? I don't think he's won a Main Street. He's won a live duck contest.
I don't think I've been to Maryland yet. That's a state I got to check off the list.
Easton, Maryland is where the World Goose is.
Oh, that's where it's held?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, I have to travel up there
I'm sure
sometime.
I'll find myself out there at
That'd
some
be
point.
cool.
Yeah. I've heard it's quite the time. A lot of history, a lot of different stuff like that. Really pretty out there. So.
And then what would be a West Coast? Who's the West Coast?
West Coast. Ooh, I wouldn't say there's as many from the West Coast.
There's got to be some. There's got to be one. I just listened
there's
to a
guy that
podcast
blows
the other day where they were talking about hunting in California.
There's guys like Forrest Carpenter, and as far as guys I talk to, there's a kid my age out there. Cody Taylor's his name. He can rip. I think he won something in Utah, I think, But yeah, but I would say a big big
there's
chunk
a big
of Minnesota.
Yeah, there's a bunch in the upper Midwest.
There's a big crew of us that go down to these contests, and I mean, there's been times that I'm sitting there and
well, it makes sense. I mean,
I'm like, he's from Minnesota. He's from Minnesota.
Geese.
Oh yeah.
I mean, goose hunting in Minnesota in the upper Midwest is. I mean, Wisconsin, obviously the Dakotas, Iowa, Illinois. And these are big goose.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's shit tons of geese.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes hand in hand. You don't really hear too much about geese on the East Coast or the West Coast. I mean, I know they're there,
right?
But you don't really hear about it too much.
Sure.
Except for when
supposedly they talk about I know talking to some of these guys from the East Coast that I contest call against, they claim to have the best goose hunting out there. But I'm like, come to Fergus Falls in the right time.
Yeah, right.
Come to Rochester.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Minnesota. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we got some prime goose hunting.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's I about fell over when I saw that March New York hunt that Joe and Nick did. I was like,
oh yeah,
what? Yeah. What do you can hunt hawkers in March? What the fuck?
Yeah, I think they've done that. They've done that for
people are shooting snow geese right now, and you're going for hawkers? What?
Heck yeah! See, I wish we could
do
that in Minnesota.
Oh,
that'd be a fun time.
Be sick, dude.
Yeah, I think they've done that for quite a while. I think, and then you can hunt them in March, and then their early season, you don't even need a plug.
Oh, they have like snow goose type.
Yeah,
regulations for the early.
No plug. I don't know if they changed it, but for a while, yeah.
I mean, unless you're going to have an obscene daily limit. I mean, I don't know what good not having a plug is going to do. So let's just say you don't. Let's say in Minnesota you didn't have to have a plug for early season, so you got 5. Or I mean, you could be stupid and get an extended mag, but the limit's only 5.
Right, exactly. So
you want one flock to come in if you're a good shot. You want to be done in one flock. Where's the fun in that? I mean, unless the limit's 15.
I think it was.
Okay, well then now you're talking like the Dakotas that or North Dakota has 15
early season.
Yeah. So now you're talking. Now you can do some banging.
Sure. For sure.
Now the three shells might irritate you a little bit, but
right.
I mean, how often do you go even 3 for 3?
Right. For sure.
It happens, but
it's
not crazy often.
Right.
Because you'd need a giant flock.
Exactly. That's why. One of my favorite ways to hunt personally, and I know there's a lot of guys that don't like this, but if I can hide them all, I love to run just an army out there. I mean, an opener we ran 16 guys.
Holy Christ! See, I'm not a big fan of large groups. No. I like knowing what I shoot.
Sure, I get that. Yeah,
and
I get that.
I just find it gets to be a hassle. I mean, 10. So far has been like the most I've hunted with. And maybe I would like it. Maybe I just need to try it, But, I mean, I've heard of like 20 guys shoots before. I'm like, who calls the shot? There's no way. I mean, I can hunt with 6 guys, and the guy in the end doesn't hear the guy that's calling it. It's like, oh, I didn't hear you call the shot. It's like,
sure.
Well, I can only yell so loud.
Yeah, I've been on some bigger shoots, and then obviously I still love hunting with my buddies. But, yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of, 20 guys shoots, 25 guys.
I mean, if you're dealing with like,
if you're
insanely big flocks of geese, like
right.
you're talking, 20 plus, 50 geese at a time are coming in. Having a lot of guns is gonna be nice to maximize those flocks, but like for us, I mean,
sure,
shit, you're getting singles, doubles, triples, maybe the odd 12 pack will come rolling in, like what do you need 10 guys for 12
you don't want to totally
birds for?
You shouldn't need that many guys.
You're going to hamburger the hell out of those things.
If you need that many guys to kill a 3-pack, you got to go to the range and you got to figure something out.
Yeah, for real, dude. But there are some crappy shots out there. It's just some bad shots out there.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I don't understand. I mean, and granted, I do my share missing from time to time, but
sure.
For the most part, I'm pretty solid. It's a big fucking bird.
Right.
I mean,
well,
I'm not going to bust your balls if you're missing teal.
Right.
Like they're coming in, they dip and dive, they're small. Like, yeah, okay. Especially, divers, you're going to miss a lot.
Right.
But a decoying goose,
especially like if you got the right
trying to
wind,
just flop right down,
right in the hole, man. Yeah,
come on, man.
That's like shooting a target. That's like shooting a pumpkin, basically.
Stop center punching him, people. Please stop.
Take that head off. Yeah.
put the bead on the beak and let her buck. I don't understand center punching. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it because it's the heat of battle. You're all excited. You're all amped up, and your eyes just go. They just go there. They just,
That kind of reminds me of when Nick J was telling me, because for work does something with X-rays or something like that.
Yeah.
And he brought his goose breasts in to work to X-ray them and look for shot.
Oh,
and he has
funny.
Shown me some pictures of just goose breasts covered in shot.
God.
You know what I mean?
I bet.
But then there's some obviously that probably are not even touched. But that's got to be kind of
and the shot is just better. Like when you're coming in and you pull up and you head shoot them and they just do that like somersault in the air. Oh, yeah. It's just the best.
Game over.
I love it. Power button. Like the tall shots. I've done that with snows a couple times. It's kind of like a Hail Mary. You're like, he's kind of tall, but he's right up top.
Right.
Screw it. Boom. And it's just, they just come straight down. You're like, holy crap, I hit it. Not only did I hit it, but it died instantly. Like just the magic BB that just goes right into the brain box.
We had, on opener, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I put it on my Instagram story. Did you see the one we had? We literally were holding out of the beak.
Oh, yeah, we've done that. We've shot last year.
Like we're sitting there, we found the beak on the ground.
We shot.
Like we clobbered that thing.
On the same hunt, we took a head off and a beak clean off. I mean, clean
cut.
Right where it meets the feathers. Like it was perfect. I've never seen anything like it. He was still alive. He was standing up, like bobbing his head. Blood was just pouring out of his face. I was like, good God. He got up and started flying. I had to dust him again.
Kind of like when you decapitate a chicken, right?
Right, yeah.
Well,
they don't realize it. I mean, yeah, there's nothing vital in your beak, in the goose's beak. It's just, he's bleeding out, and I'm sure he got concussed, I mean, that's a lot of force to rip your face off. But he was just standing there, like, in shock. And so my buddy went to go get it. He didn't, and he's like, he was in shock. He's like, well, how is this thing still standing? He'd never seen anything. All of a sudden, it gets up and starts flying. I had to swing around to my left and shoot it again.
That's interesting.
I was going to get out.
Shooting a headless goose.
Well, it had a head.
In the air.
Didn't have a beak.
Didn't have a beak.
The beak was clean. Sure. The eyes, head, none of that got touched. It was just the beak. It was close. So I basically shot it with a slug.
Yeah.
I got a pattern master, and I got the long range one.
You're on the code black or what?
It's the duck. They've changed them now.
Yep.
So I got the duck one, which I thought the goose one was the tightest pattern, but the guy at the store said this is the tightest pattern. Now I went with it. Whatever. I can make some pokes with it, so
sure.
It works for me. I don't care what it is. It works for me, so I'm just going to stick with it. I don't take it out either. Like I use that for ducks. Like whatever. I either miss them or kill them.
That's my same deal too.
I mean, I'd almost rather,
right.
either have a clean miss or a solid kill. Like, why do I want to put 3 BBs in them?
You're out there to shoot
spread.
them and kill them, right?
Yeah, I don't like crippling birds,
Oh,
like,
no, there's no worse.
Yeah, so on that same hunt, we shot a head off. And then the year before that, buddy Joel shot one and decapitated it. I mean, the head fell and the body went another, 10 feet.
On this one, when we had the beak, there was no head. And we had a beak, so I think it's safe to say there was not much left of anything.
But it was gone off of the face of the bird. It's just the damnedest thing. When you're on them, you're on them,
dude. Yeah, it was like a 10-yard shot.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
And he was coming across, and it was just
exact same thing. Yeah, it was crossing shot. Exactly. All three of those, same thing. Just crossing shots. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Crazy. How's your season been going this year?
Been going all right. Yeah, we had a good opener. We had
our opener sucked.
Yeah, I remember you texting me on that. We had my buddy had a spot. He had a field easily like 300 in it. 250, 300. He'd send me Snapchats and stuff every day, and he had been watching that sucker and had permission for like 3 weeks. I mean, he was on it for a long time. 2 days before, the farmer goes and leases it underneath him.
What?
Yeah, and I mean, literally, he had film of these birds. He had everything. So it was just like, what do we do?
Oh my God!
So we set up the flight line. I think we ran.
We
ran a big spread. Had 16 guys. Everybody that could blow a call was blowing a call, and we cut them off, and we crushed 49 out of there.
Wow!
And they picked up by the guys sitting on the X. At least it picked up by I think it was 8 o'clock. They had packed their stuff.
And they had their.
They were done.
They were done. They shot them up. Or were you cutting them off before they
We
got
cut
there?
them off before they
Oh,
got
really?
there.
They got frustrated and left?
They got frustrated and left.
That
They
sucks
didn't.
for
They
them.
didn't want anything of it. So I mean, me being a goose caller and stuff, I mean, I blow my goose call every single day,
Yeah.
whether it's February, whether it's November, whenever.
Right,
Every single day I
yeah.
blow my goose call. And if I'm not thinking about blowing in a goose calling contest, I'm thinking about in a traffic situation, somebody pissed you off, they're sitting on the X, and you set out a big spread and you flat out cut them
I'll
off.
tell you what, Nick Johnson was talking about that. He's like, calling is by far more important than decoys.
It's
and
huge.
He's doesn't hunt with a flag anymore. He just like
Doesn't even
he's
flag?
like they're stupid. He's
Well,
like,
I know
don't,
there's
I
talk.
don't see any reason
There's talk
for it.
about
But I'm
them
not sure
looking
how
like
much I agree with that.
Sure.
but-
I like to use flags when they're far out. Like not last weekend, but the weekend before we were running migrators. And we had, I mean, if we saw a migrator flock out in the distance, we had 4 or 5 guys out in the decoys just flagging away
Trying
at
to-
them. And then when they get closer,
Yeah.
hop in. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I like to flag at them when they're far out. And then after that, once
Yeah.
they see the spread, you just let the call.
It's a hard thing to prove. I get what he's saying, but it seems like, at least anecdotally, there are times where we feel that the flag definitely turned a flock of geese.
Right.
Where it's
yeah.
they're on a line, somebody hits that flag, and all of a sudden they turn. It's like, was it coincidence?
Now, we
It's
use our magic
possible,
mics a lot for
but-
that. Yeah.
But it sure seemed like they turned as soon as we started.
Just to get their attention.
Yeah,
up
and then
again.
then put it down, and
Right.
then just call. But I
Right.
know so many people that do that flag, like they're coming. It was like, will you stop? You're like flashing
an
a
edge
neon
height or
sign
something? Yeah,
on them right now,
exactly.
telling them where you're at. They're coming. Let them keep coming.
Well, I know we ran a drone over one of our spreads one time, and we're like, hit the magic mic. We hit that, and looking at that, I mean, it does look pretty realistic. It does.
Looks like a bird stretching their wings.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
It looked surprisingly really, because people always get worried about like the geese flying over, a flag laying down, and,
Yeah.
or they try to cover it up with decoys or whatever. But when you hit it, it looks super
I don't
realistic.
think you really need to worry about it. If that thing's not moving, they're not going to notice it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's always random shit in the field, whether it's a rock or.
Well, if
tool
it's a
that got
black and
left
white
or
too,
whatever
it's just
the
like a
hell.
black and white silhouette.
Yeah,
essentially,
This
you
will
know.
be fine. I want people. The one thing hunters are really good at is overthinking shit. You know what I mean? Like, stay hidden, practice your calling. You're gonna kill birds.
100%. 100%. Like the biggest debate in the book is silhouettes don't work.
Well, I think Joe put that to rest the last week.
Oh man, we were running
Snapchat.
migrators. We were running migrators. We didn't use anything but silhouettes.
Yeah,
we
that's
ran
it. Were you
45
hunting
dozen
with Joe?
silhouettes. No, I wasn't
Oh,
with Joe
okay,
that
because
day.
Joe was running nothing but silhouettes out in North
Heck
Dakota
yeah.
last
we had
weekend.
we had to walk into, and you know what? When I went out to North Dakota with Nick J, we had the whole crew. We had Joe, Nick J, the Fergus boys. We had Joey Vassallo. I mean, we had the whole army out there. A bunch of callers. Yeah, we set silos out. We ran migrators, and
With that many good callers, you probably could have put 2 decoys out and just went to town.
it's pretty nuts when you get a bunch of callers together, man. I mean, and even if you're not all screaming at them, you're all just kind of doing your thing too. It sounds really good.
They're doing the 8-man competition.
Right,
Like everybody's
8-man,
working.
yeah.
I mean, you know what? We hunted so that not last weekend because I didn't hunt, but the weekend before last, we hunted with Nick J.
Yep.
And
He's been on them this year.
yeah, he's been getting good. Well, I mean, I pat myself on the back. He was hunting one of my fields.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
I put him on a good field.
Nice.
It's historically been a really good field. We checked it out, and he liked what he was seeing. It's a good. It's a high traffic spot for local birds, and when they're migrating,
Perfect.
there's a lot of areas around that
That's perfect.
that spot
Yep.
that draw migrators historically. So you're in a high traffic area. You're gonna see geese. But with that said, I mean, we just let him drive. I mean, he did the majority of the calling, and then, I'm not the worst caller in the world. By no means am I a competition caller. Same with, my buddy Joel. And we just we filled in. We let him set the pace, and if he got excited, we got excited, and if he started dropping off, we just
Follow the
tried
leader.
to.
Yep.
Yeah, we just played follow leader with him. And whether it worked or not, I don't know, but we had a, 8-man limit by 10:30, so.
And a lot of that too is if you show your cards too early, if you start them easy, and if they don't like it, and then you start flashing your fancier stuff, your fancier notes, spit note, train, whatever. that's how you're gonna get a better reaction.
Yeah,
at
and
least in
honestly,
my
he
eyes.
didn't really go too crazy until we had some migrators, and he was really trying to get their attention. But that was fun because
Migrators are fun.
you can
man.
really see what he can. You're like, oh shit, like
Well, and that's what originally when we went out to North Dakota with that whole crew was. It was right about now when we have the little break, and last year,
yeah,
and we had straight north winds. We were waiting for the north winds to come all early goose. We didn't get anything. And then the 5 days that it was closed, we had like 5 days of north winds. And then duck opener came around south wind. So we're like, let's go out to North Dakota. And that's exactly what it did. Brought a lot of silos, got the whole army together. And there's, you know what? That's another thing about contest calling is migrator days roll around. You got a whole army of dudes that you've competed against. Hey, call them up. Call them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get them all together
Yeah.
and run those
that
migrators,
would be pretty
man.
fun. I'll tell you, a good commercial for those Dave Smith decoys too, because that's what Nick had out in that field. But holy crap, those things look real. We had our limit. We're piling them up for the picture or whatever. We're getting trucks are in the field. And this 4-pack comes in, start flying, and we start calling at them. They turn, land in the decoys. We're all just standing there.
Just hanging
They
out.
were hungry. These things, they were just, as soon as they hit the ground, they started eating. My buddy kind of chases them out, see how close he can get to them. They fly. They only go like 100, 150 yards around. We start calling at them again. They turn right back around. We did that 3 times. 4th time, we just let them land. We're like, whatever. And they did. They just They hung out the whole time we picked up decoys. They didn't care. They did not care. It's like, God, if we had another guy.
Right? No kidding. That's what you get. Yeah.
Seriously, if we had one of those groups, that would have been an epic day because we kept seeing geese, and there was no way that migration was done. We could have sat there until 1 o'clock.
Was
probably.
that not this last weekend, but it was the weekend before?
Weekend before.
Okay,
yep,
so yeah,
that
I was
Saturday.
sitting. I had kind of a funny thing happen. I've never had this happen before, actually, but we had a traffic spot. It was kind of similar. We were surrounded in lakes. There was a flight line going right over it. There was a big feed across the road. And we were going to have migrators in north wind. It was a little bit of a light wind. I was kind of worried that we weren't going to get a good push, but so that's why I was like, okay, well, we'll sit here because it's in a good area, and we got geese flying directly over it. So I called up my buddy Colton and Tony, 2 guys that I compete with and have traveled with and stuff, goose callers. So we go and set all the silos up, and we had a decent shoot out of there. We killed 18, so it wasn't a total smash, but it was a good day. We sat from start to finish, and we killed migrators. And for me personally, I'd rather have migrators do it and only shoot a couple of them than just smash them all day long.
I think that's a pretty standard thing with like hardcore goose guys.
When they do
like,
it
locals
hard,
are great,
right?
but
Migrators.
when you change their mind. They're going somewhere else,
and you
change their mind, and you kill those birds. That's
100%.
It's one thing when you're on the X and you see those birds and they're just barely flapping and they're coming right to the field. It's like, oh, these birds are dead. Like you wouldn't even have to call at them one time, and you're trying to center them up maybe a little bit, but those birds are dead. It's just a matter of time. Is that great? Yeah, it's fun.
You're still shooting geese.
Yeah, you're still shooting geese. It's success. It's a pile at the end of the day. Right. However, without any skill on your part, they were coming.
That's shooting. You found the spot.
Yeah.
But then you're out
but
there
when you're
shooting
putting on those mile-high birds and you're pulling them down, and we're just watching their body language too.
Geese. Oh yeah.
When they really want to get down, when they change their mind, when they're like, we're coming down, that show
priceless.
So that show is the best.
Priceless. When they everything from when they got the cupped wings, they just drop for. I like it when they hang too, when they just kind of keep coming, and then they maybe flip a little bit, they lose a little bit of elevation, and they catch the wind a little bit.
They can drop elevation quick,
dude. Yeah, I read an article about that. Yeah, I can't remember how much they lose, but it's crazy when they just kick back a little bit like that.
Yeah,
they just
fall straight down. It's like, dude, that's when they really want to get down.
I would take 3 flocks of geese doing that versus a day of shooting geese all day.
Yeah,
maybe I'm weird. I don't know, but when they do it right,
it's a lot of fun. And we had a time last year we were hunting migrators, and we were pulling them down just from the heavens. And when they start doing it, when you got one, when they kind of ball up, they're in a V, They actually get past you a little bit, and all of a sudden you see them kind of ball up, and they're like, oh, shit,
Like,
here we go. And then you really start hammering on them to keep them in. It's like, you know how hard it is to blow a goose call when you got a shit-eating grin on your face? It's almost impossible. You can't smile and blow a goose call at the same time. It's like, so you got to like, okay, calm down, calm down. All right, then get back to calling.
We still got to shoot him. We still got to shoot him. It's not over.
We got to keep calling him. Calm down. But it's just like the visual. It's I don't know. Like I think that's why like waterfowling in general is such an obsession for so many people.
Obsession.
Because there's not that many other things to hunt that encapsulate that. Now I know some people get crazy about turkeys for the same reason because it's that interaction. You're like tricking them to do something they don't necessarily want to do.
They're putting on a show. Geese, and they put on a show a lot of times.
And then deer I can see if they're responding to like a rattle or something like that. But that's kind of rare. At least it's not common that works. You have to have, there's all sorts of science behind it. You have to have a high, buck to doe ratio where the competition's really, steep, and then the bucks are more responsive to rattling and grunting and all that, blah, 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 blah. But with ducks and geese, mostly geese, really, they're very vocal.
Oh yeah,
and that's a huge part of it. And then that image you get, those cupped out wings and
maple leaf and cupped wings.
God, it's just the best. It's like the whole thing together. And then you throw in ducks in the mix and you get variety. A deer is a deer is a deer is a deer. You're looking for that big rack or whatever. A grouse looks like every other grouse you've ever shot. Turkeys, for the most part, all look the fucking same.
Right.
But when you get into waterfowling, you got a whole menu of shit that you get to kill.
What I love is when they're really doing it, and you're calling at them, and they start maple leafing, and then everybody stops calling. You just hear, holy shit. Like, we're going to mop these ones. You know what I mean? Everybody's just like, oh, man, here we go.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, Jesus, here we go.
Here we go. But anyways, what happened with this spot, so we were running traffic on them, running migrators. Not a single goose feeding in the field. We killed 18 out of there. It was a fun day, sat from start to finish. The next day, that field was loaded.
Really?
Loaded
After
up.
After you beat the piss out of
And everybody was calling me, texting me. They're like, hey, are you out hunting that field?
They thought they were deeks?
Because they were sitting exactly like our decoy spread. I had to go see it for my own eyes.
Wow.
Our landing zone was open. All the geese were sitting right where, I don't know if we just had geese that saw the spread and didn't come in and were like,
hey,
we're
we'll
going to
eat
feed
there
there tomorrow. Right, yeah, we're going to go here today, go here tomorrow. So the combination of, us going out there and killing geese and then that happening, now all of a sudden everybody claims they have permission on this field.
Oh yeah.
One of those situations. The neighbor was involved, and then we kind of talked it out with the neighbor, and he was kind of worked up at some point because said we were going to hunt it. We had permission, and then I was at work, and I got a text from the neighbor, the guy that said he was going to hunt it. He's like, "Wow, so you send your buddies out now to hunt it now?" And I'm like, "None of my guys are out there." And he sends me a picture of the truck, and there was somebody else was out there. So it was just. Yeah, I mean,
is it possible that the landowner gave somebody else permission?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is possible. But I just found that interesting that we run a traffic spread and then all of a sudden geese start feeding in there. That was crazy. I mean, and it didn't help too that we sat out there all day with such a massive spread. I mean, we probably had easily 25, 30 trucks. Just like slow down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're there driving, and then all of a sudden you just see them like stop.
Yep, like
slow down. They're like trying to figure out, is that a spread or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
And then we were shooting.
That's
and
a good thing.
That's
what flags are good for.
Right.
As you're scouting geese, you're like, ooh, are those? Oh, there's a flag. Never mind. Those are decoys.
Have you ever had people like trucks slow down and stuff, and then sure enough they go in and ask permission on the field when you're sitting out there?
No.
I've had that happen.
While you're actively hunting.
While we're hunting. They see a big spread, and they're like, well, I'm going to go get permission on that. Whether they think, I don't know if they think they probably think they're real geese.
I know competition's steep and everything for a good field, but that's a little ridiculous. Unless they think they're
just think they're geese. That would
possible.
be my best guess.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that.
Because usually my first thought would be. I mean, there's enough drama with hunting as
But
it
you
is.
should watch them. I mean, always if you like, ooh, don't you watch them? Like if they're not moving, you're like,
some people do, some people don't. But
okay, they're not moving. Those got to be decoys.
right.
You
Well,
know?
for me, when I scout a field too, if I find an X field, if I find a feed, the first thing I think about is, well, where are they coming from?
Mm-hmm.
What's their flight path? Where are they roosting? Where are they loafing? You know what I mean? Because that just having a feed of geese, like, cool. If you get on that field, you'll have a good shoot. But if you can think about how do I cut them off, or where are they loafing, it kind of opens.
Yeah,
up your
what's
options a
your
little bit better.
opinion on that? And I'm talking to Nick J. He's like, he'd rather not hunt the X. He'd rather, he's going to get permission for the X,
Sure.
but then he's also going to get permission for the field in between,
Right.
and he's just going to siphon off those birds for
Well,
a
I
few
think-
hunts instead of just burning it out in one good one. I'm like, you know what? That actually makes a shit ton of sense.
It does. Well, and it depends. If you're running an outfitter, it makes even more sense. But it depends on how much time you have to hunt. If you're going to hunt one day, you go, in my opinion, get a bunch of guys and go shoot up that feed. You know what I mean? If you're going to hunt for the next 4 days, find a traffic field, because most of the time an X field is either an X field because they're feeding it, or because nobody can hunt it. You know what I mean? So sometimes your only option is to run traffic on them.
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, if you're gonna be hunting for a couple days, maybe get permission on that X field just so nobody else can hunt it. But yeah, run traffic on them. Get the right guys in there.
Yeah, right.
Get
Yep.
guys that can call.
Yep.
Call up your contest calling buddies or whatever, and get guys in there. But yeah, if you can do it right. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the satisfaction of bringing geese into somewhere that they've never been. Yeah, do that,
That's
then
so
bust
cool.
up the feed on the last day, or don't even do it at all,
Yeah.
So,
Any bands this year?
no, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Been a part of two. Actually, I lied. I was going to say I've been a part of two of them, but only kind of. So the first one, we got one. You had to have heard that story when we were hunting that field with Nick J. We had one bird to shoot. So there's one guy left. We put this flock of birds on the ground. He's like, all right, you get ready? And then Nick's like, yeah, you know what? Let me check. Let me check real quick and see if that bird's banding. So it was like, actually, I think it was a bird that
Really?
we busted off of a migrator flock.
I've heard this story before.
We plucked one bird out. And he came over and he landed. The other ones kind of ignored it. They kind of did a circle, but they weren't buying it or whatever, and they kept going. But one of them busted off, landed. And he's like, all right, there's your bird. Just sit up and shoot him. And Nick's like, wait. Let me check. Puts the knockers up. He's like, holy shit, that bird is fucking banded. They're like, what? No, wait, I'm trying to strain my eyes. I'm like, I feel like I see something.
Surprised
but
you didn't just shoot it.
Could just be a feather. Well, I had my limit already.
I suppose.
So he's like, it's fucking banded. He's like, get up, and he's walking towards it, and these geese, they just want, these were hungry-ass geese. They did not want to leave that field. So it's starting to walk away kind of, but, doesn't want to. And the guy, squares his shoulders up, takes aim, and you can hear Nick. He was, Snapchatting. He's like, do not miss this band.
I suppose.
Yeah, and he shoots it, and they go over, and sure as shit, fucking thing
I've
is
heard a
banded.
similar story. I wasn't on this hunt, but some of my buddies from Rochester, some of the other Molt Gear guys, they had watched, I think it was, now I'm probably going to botch the story, but this is roughly how it went. They had watched a goose with a neck collar on it.
Oh, my
for
God.
3 years, come into Silver Lake in Rochester, right? Nobody killed it. Kept seeing it year after year. And they were hunting, and they saw the neck collar had just come back into town. And so they were out hunting, and we're talking, it's Rochester, so there's a lot of geese. So we're talking 150 geese fly over. It's a big, big flock of geese. They're just barking at them. And one goose breaks off. One goose breaks off of that big flock, and it comes in, and they
even
crush
tell
it.
me it's that
And
collared
it's
goose.
that collared goose.
No fucking way.
Mike Hewlett from Rochester. Yeah, they crushed that, and
What the hell?
sounded like they went to the liquor store after that and celebrated for a while.
Bought lottery tickets, everything.
Heck yeah.
Lady Luck's on your side that day. Holy shit. But that was pretty cool that the band we got was no controversy because only one guy was shooting. It's that was just trippy. But then I had a bass tournament this past weekend, so I couldn't hunt. But my buddies went out and they hunted my field, same field
Sure.
that we hunted with Nick J. They didn't do very well. They only shot 3. But sure as shit, one of them was banded.
Now, what was the situation? Were they feeding? Was it a big feed of geese, or it was just
They,
it was
they
all
just
traffic?
they went in there blind that day.
Okay.
They
Okay.
hadn't they didn't scout. They didn't. The one
Hail
benefit,
Mary.
the benefit we have of that field is it's historically a good field. It's high
Right,
traffic.
that's right, you had
It's
said
traffic
that, yeah.
for locals. It's traffic for migrators. It's just if you have to hunt somewhere blind, that's a great field to do it.
Sure.
You have roll the dice. You have a pretty good chance of seeing
We
some
all have
birds.
spots like that. Yeah.
Of seeing some birds. Plus, it's the only small grain field in probably at least a 5 square mile area.
That helps. Yeah.
So this earlier season, that's
money.
big. You know. So it was really heavy fog. They said they heard a couple other flocks, but they never materialized out of the fog, and they only got 3 that day, but 3 and 1's banded. That's a success in my book.
Yeah, for sure. For
It's
sure.
pretty awesome.
Now, what are you going to be doing next week? Are you going to be duck hunting or are you going to go goose hunting?
No, neither. So
Neither?
Yeah, this weekend I'm actually flying out Thursday morning. I go to South Carolina.
Okay.
And so I'm fishing one day down there. My brother lives there. So I'm going to do some red fishing and
Sure.
sharks. Hopefully get a nice big bull red, catch a couple sharks. And then I'm getting a car for my brother, so I'm driving it back. So
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday are burnt up driving from South Carolina
Flying
back
and
to
road
Minneapolis.
tripping,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. So it's been kind of cool.
Sure.
I'll probably stop somewhere in the Chicago area. Last time I did it in a U-Haul, and I made it to Madison. So I'm like, I think I'll stop a little earlier this time.
Sure. I suppose it's a little early to be hitting up some of the outfitters down there.
Yeah, I did that with the podcast with the guys from Jim Shoe Decoys, and he's out of Ohio.
Okay. Yep.
So he's giving me an invite down there for January.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Yep. Big Al's kid.
we play our cards right.
Big Al's kid is from
Like
around
my
in there,
daddy
and he
or-
gets
Is
into
he?
him. Yeah, I talked to him on Instagram and different stuff like that. Seems like a really cool dude. So that'd be a fun place.
Yeah,
to go.
we'll play it by ear when we get there. I don't know how much space he has for whoever, but it'd be cool
Sure.
to bring a crew down there.
Heck yeah, get a whole army of guys.
He might already have an army. I don't know. I can't. I'm not gonna.
Everybody has.
I'm not gonna invite for him. He gave me the invite, and that's good enough for me. But he's coming up here. It's either the first or second weekend of October. So hopefully we can. I'm hoping some of this silage corn starts coming out.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I hunted a sweet corn field on Sunday.
I've not yet done that. Is
Yeah,
it as awesome as they say?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
Sweet corn is like cocaine to geese, man. When they get a taste of it, they don't leave. They just keep coming. They've killed.
Is it because it's softer? Is it? Like
don't know
the waste grain. It's not like seed grain. It's.
I know somebody's explained it to me at some point, and there's something about like when it gets wet or
Or is there
something
just
like
more
that.
carbs to it? Does it have more sugars? So
that's
it's just
probably
a better
what
energy
it is.
source?
Yeah, but yeah, there's a sweet corn field around me that's like historically. I remember my first goose calling contest. Somebody from I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned that sweet corn field to me. They had come up and hunted it, and they were from like Illinois or something like that. I'm like, holy smokes! And that's like not far from my house. But yeah, there was this sweet corn field, and they had killed like 125 geese out of there this season, out of that one field. So they just keep coming, man.
Yeah, that's.
The fog killed us that day.
So I want to hunt a sweet corn field at some point in time, and I really want to hunt the golf course.
Golf course, yep.
And that's more of just like, fuck you, birds. That's like, you think you're safe here? Fuck you.
Right.
You assholes. That's why I want to, like, out of just complete spite and malice for these golf course birds is the only reason I want to hunt them on a golf course at some point in time.
You got to have the right connections, or you got to, if you're an outfitter, usually they'll like lease it out or something.
Yeah,
like
I'll
that.
throw them a couple bucks or something.
I know, like Trevor. I think Trevor and Joe and
Ludke.
Ben Millier. Yeah, they had negotiated a golf course hunt, and I know some other outfitters. Maxed Out does one, I think. So, yeah, that would be.
It would honestly. It's just like, and if I killed a goose, it'd be a success because I'm literally gonna run up to him and be like, "Fuck you," double flipping it off.
Thing is, when you get out there, you'll be like, okay, now this grass and this pond, now we could run some serious migrators out of this spot. You're like,
God,
we
yeah.
could never do. But could you imagine that a migrator hunt on a golf course?
Have you hunted a sod farm before?
I have hunted sod.
Okay, so
Yep, I hunted sod with Trevor.
we've had permission for sod fields in
Sure.
the past, and those are great migrator spots.
Oh,
I mean, you
yeah.
can't get much better
Right.
visibility than a sod farm. I mean, it's giant swath of the same color green. Your decoys stick out like crazy.
And you got to figure that geese are like, okay, that's sod, that's grass, that's exactly what we're looking for right now.
Loaf. They're just
exactly.
coming down to rest. They've been flying for who knows how long, and I mean, yeah, like going back to that story. I mean, those birds in that field, the moment they hit the ground, they started eating. I mean, literally, as we're walking up to them, they're like walking away, but they're like eating grass. They're like trying to grab a blade of grass as they're walking away from us. Like they're starving. I mean, who knows where they left from, but I mean, there are molts, obviously.
Yep.
Coming back, and both bands. So the band that we got with Nick and the band that my buddies got last weekend were from Wisconsin.
Okay.
So probably banded, somewhere around Crex Meadows would be my guess.
Yep.
And then, so obviously, they're coming in from the north, so they didn't fly in from the east. They didn't fly in from Wisconsin. They came in from Canada, more than likely.
It's always cool when you look in like the Waterfowl magazines and stuff when they got the band reports.
I love that.
And
That's
you just see the
best part of that magazine.
crazy, like one flew from like they're banning in Alaska. Like I didn't even know that was a thing, and they banned them in Alaska, and then it's shot in like Illinois or something like that.
Some of the most, obviously, snow geese have like some of the craziest ones.
Yep.
It's like Nunavut and then all the way to Arkansas or whatever. But it's when you see like a pintail or something like banded,
right.
Banded somewhere in Alaska and shot in, Utah. You're like, what the fuck? Or New Jersey. Like it's just crazy.
Right.
I love those. I love when they, they do the little, it's like the plane loop. They show you like their travel path.
Yeah.
You're like, God, that stuff interests me so much.
I am such a sucker for that type of stuff. You know what? That and I love like reading like history of waterfowl stuff or like vintage decoys or vintage calls or that's why I really want to make it down to the Minnesota Waterfowl Hall of Fame that's put on by the Minnesota Waterfowl Association. It sounds like that's going to shut down, so I'm going to try to hustle my butt to get there before that. I don't know if you heard about that. It's in Hopkins.
I didn't even know we had one.
Supposedly they have. I've never been there, but supposedly they have a bunch of like
work
vintage,
on their marketing.
Right? I know. I would have went there years ago if you know what I mean. But yeah, they supposedly they have a bunch of vintage decoys and calls and all kinds of like old like DU stuff and heck yeah. I mean, holy smokes, I'd go broke.
Dude, some of those decoys are expensive as fuck.
Oh yeah. I have some hand carved ones myself, but yeah, I can't imagine what some of those old ones are. I just would have loved to be a fly on the wall way back in the day,
right?
You know, like even my grandma gave me my my grandpa's and my great grandpa's duck stamps that he paid like $10 for,
That's
and
cool.
They hand sign them and stuff.
Very
And I'm just a sucker for that. I just love everything
that
about
shit's
it.
Cool, dude.
It's like it's like a kid loving baseball, studying Babe Ruth. You know, what I mean?
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It is. That's badass. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I've always liked decoys, even before I really got even into hunting, because I'm to call adult onset hunting. I mean, nobody in my family hunted. Nobody. It was something that was always kind of in me. Sure. Tried it in the me and my buddy did it a little bit, dabbled in it in high school, and then he had a few bags of decoys I think he got from an uncle or something, and then they got stolen. And once that happened, it's like, well, shit, we're fucked. We don't have any money to go buy 3 bags of decoys. So then I just got out of it, and it was, I don't know, it was in my mid-20s or something. I'm like, you know what, I think I'm going to try duck hunting. I literally went to Fleet Farm. I bought like 2 wood duck decoys and 4 mallard decoys, threw them out in this little river channel, shot a few ducks. I mean, honestly, the first wood duck came running up that chute, and it was just a pass chute. He wasn't decoying. He was just running up the chute. I swung on him, one shot, dropped him. That was it. I mean, right. I knew right then and there. I'm like, well, this is my future for the rest of my life.
Heck
right
yeah.
here. That was badass.
I hunted with some of my buddies quite a bit, and I loved that. Don't get me wrong. I actually killed my first duck, and I shot the mojo with it. Yeah, I was so jacked about that. I was so jacked that I shot the duck, and then the dog goes out the other direction and goes gets the mojo. My buddy's like, "Well, you shot the mojo too." So I went from like super excited to like, oh no, like oh shit, right? But yeah, I hunted with a bunch of my buddies, and then growing up where I did too, I can remember the first wood duck or first duck that I killed on my own with my $30 Flambeau Walmart decoys that I had bought and with waders that were like 5 times too big and a wooden false duck call that I had. I remember the first duck I killed, and that was, I had killed other ducks and geese and stuff with my buddies, but when I went out by myself, found the spot, hid, called, put the decoys out, and killed that, it was like, that was fun. And at that point it was like, this isn't so bad. This is fun.
That's cool. There's something special about waterfowl hunting for sure. It just has a different. There's other elements to it that just set it apart from.
It's kind of like you got to take somebody out for them to really like. Some people are like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," but it's like,
what, man,
you get them out, and
if you've never been in a marsh or lake,
right
at sunrise, you have no idea what you're missing.
You don't even know. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can't explain it to people. I mean, as the world starts to come alive in the marsh, the sights, the sounds, just the colors, you can take the duck hunting aspect out of it.
Right.
If you're not a hunter and somehow you're fucking listening to this, thanks.
Right.
But I highly doubt it. Anyways, if you are one of those people, you're not into hunting, or maybe you have a spouse that hunts and you're not into it, at some point in time, set your alarm at that ungodly hour, get up with them, go out in the blind with them in the boat, wherever they're hunting, and just enjoy the show. Because so many people in this world live their whole life
without experiencing
ever seeing the sunrise on a marsh, and you're missing out, man. That is a special fucking moment. It totally really
agree.
is. I mean, without waxing
agree.
too poetic here, but dude, it's something.
Well, and that's kind of one of my reasons too, why I developed this logo and plan on making a company and everything, is I want to do my part in promoting hunting and promoting studying geese, and even I know this might be a little unique to me and other like contest callers and people, but like a year-round effort of enjoying waterfowl and the nature of it all, the sunrise, whether it's spring, fall, winter, whatever. You just love it. You're obsessed with it.
You are obsessed
every
with
day
it. And
all year long.
To that end, did you do spring snows much?
I have a little bit, but I haven't done as much as I've wanted to.
One of the things I always tell people is that they have to, if you've not done it, you have to go. You have to go at least once. And it's for the same reasons. You have to see the spectacle, because that spring migration is like nothing you've ever seen. It's like,
and you'll see way more than just snows too,
Yeah, that's my point. It's like you are putting yourself in a National Geographic special. When you watch those things, narrated by the English dude, and you're seeing these numbers of birds that you're just like, the reason you're watching it is because you're so amazed. You can go see that. You are literally, here in Minnesota, you're a 5-hour drive away from seeing that, putting yourself right in the middle of it. And it's not just snows, man. It's
Specks,
every
honkers,
ducks, waterfowl
everything.
Species you can think of. And their prime breeding plumage by the hundreds, by the thousands. You can't get a ticket to that show anywhere else. I mean, it's
the sights and the sounds,
unbelievable. Man. I mean, I've been in the snow goose, in a decoy spread, and I've had redheads land in a cornfield, in a dry fucking cornfield.
Sure.
A diver duck. You want to know how stupid they look waddling around a cornfield? They're not even yards. They're 5 feet away from me. I'm peeking at them out my blind, and the sun's hitting them just the right angle, like that either late or early sun is hitting those redheads, and you'd swear somebody put a fucking battery in their ass. They just light up. You're like,
nothing better, man.
Is amazing. And honestly, I don't hate there's not even a part of me that at that moment it's like I really wish I could shoot that. You're just enjoying the show. You're like,
exactly.
this is incredible.
You know, one thing that I do a lot in the spring, and I don't know, when I think about could I be doing this or could I be snow goose hunting, I spend a lot of time in my marsh in the spring. Blowing my goose. I just use it as an excuse to blow my goose. Not that I need one.
Not that you need one.
You know what I mean? But at least,
Yeah.
If I go out in my marsh, I'm a little bit farther away from my neighbors that actually just moved. But go out there, and what's crazy is when you see the geese fight in the spring.
Right?
Dude, they are vicious.
I often say
they
this.
are lethal, man.
Geese flock up. I mean, they're gregarious. They gather around each other, but they don't like each other.
No,
This is
not
an
in the spring.
uneasy alliance, even in the winter. I remember, so people, you start getting into like the technical things. You're like, how far out do you space your decoys and this, that, and the other thing. And I watched. We went down to Northfield for a birthday party, and outside this apartment complex, these condos or whatever. So that river in Northfield generally doesn't freeze, so it holds geese all winter long, and they're just loafing right up against, out of the wind, up against the building, and they got their heads all tucked in. It was cold. It was like a 10 below day. It was just typical Minnesota brutal day.
Oh yeah,
winter day, right? And I was just watching them. I was studying them, and I'm like, let's watch these things. And you want to know what your spacing should be on some sleeper shells and a loaf thing? If their neck can reach the next decoy, they're too fucking close.
Too close.
Because they'd all be sitting down, heads fully tucked, appearing to be sleeping, and there'd be a goose that's like walking through. I don't know why, but he's walking through. The moment it gets too close enough where it can get touched by the other goose, that head comes out, bang, plucks the fucking feather off it, and it jumps aside. Then the other one plucks it, and
they
it's
start
just like
using their feathers.
it's just ping ponging between all these birds. And you're like, how did that bird even know he was there? The head was tucked under a wing. I didn't see any eyeballs, but
it's
he fucking
crazy.
knew.
Especially like 2 times that I've noticed that they're seriously aggressive and they just hate each other is in the springtime, obviously breeding.
Yeah,
and stuff.
they're
it's
looking
crazy.
for
I've
nesting
seen,
spots.
I've seen geese come and attack decoys and
Oh,
stuff like that.
they hate.
And then when the food gets tough, and that's something that maybe people down south don't get to see as much, But when you're a goose trying to survive in December in Minnesota, when there's limited water, there's usually probably 6 inches to a foot and a half of snow.
Right.
And you're fighting for food and you're fighting for water. It's survival
It's on.
of the fittest.
Yeah, and I've been saying for years now, it's like they flock together, but they hate each other.
Oh, man. When the resources get tough,
they are not friends.
Well,
they're highly territorial.
And that's the biggest thing when you're getting big into goose calling is you realize that these notes, a lot of times, what you're doing is you're showing aggression. And people call it calling, but a lot of times what you're doing is you're trying to simulate a goose saying, stay the heck out of here. Like, stay out of here. This is mine. And
I would
to
argue
a goose
that's
in the
all
head,
they're
like,
saying.
Oh, 100%.
They're not saying to a flock of geese, hey, there's food down here.
Right, exactly.
They're like, keep moving, fuckface.
Yeah,
this
get out of
shit's
here.
mine.
And when a goose hears that, they're like, well, there must be something there worth the fight
Exactly.
for.
We saw it. So those geese that we landed in the field that day with Nick, those 4 that came in after we were all done and we're picking up whatever, another flock comes by, right? They fly over the top. And those geese saw them. They saw them off in the distance. You saw their heads come up. They didn't make a sound until they got like over the field. And then it was the and they were like, keep flying, fuckface. It wasn't like, hey, come down here and join us. You could see their body posture. Heads were up like they're puffing their chest out. It was the dude at the gym, like, find your own bench, bro. I got this one. They were flexing. They're like
it's cool.
They hate each other. This isn't a friendly environment.
You hear in the springtime especially but you hear some dirty goose notes. I
Oh,
mean,
that
man,
stuff
you
you
hear
can't- you
train notes and gray eyebrows and hissing and
Gray
everything.
eyebrows.
Oh yeah, well, that's what trying and
Yeah.
I've learned
Yeah.
my goose calling is I've learned from Scott
Oh, for sure,
Conant,
dude.
for sure.
Bad grammar was like
Heck
the
yeah.
first. That's how I started.
And he uses the gray eyebrow because usually it's a big goose,
big
with,
mature
with the
goose,
big
yeah.
mature goose that does it. And if you hear that, it's pissed off. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But yeah, so I mean, you just hear the craziest. That's why I love springtime. I love being in my pond. I love calling at them. I'll
tell you, for duck calling, it's a great confidence booster because you can go out there with a duck call and you throw a couple hen quacks on that thing, and every drake in the vicinity starts bombing you without any decoys
Sure.
or anything because they are all horned up. They got one thing on their
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
that that works like that for geese, but I've
Oh,
done
the
it.
geese love the
I've
calling,
called.
too.
I've landed a drake mallard in front of my truck while calling from inside my truck before. And
In
he's
the
like,
springtime?
Yeah, he's like, I know
Yeah.
I heard her. She's around here.
Sure.
And he's like pacing in front of my truck just looking for that bitch. And I'm like, that's crazy. How
Yeah.
come that don't happen in October?
Right? Once you experience that too, it like for me, like I was telling you before, like I used to fish some bass tournaments and stuff, and it was fun, But then once I got into this goose calling stuff, granted, I mean my summer times are spent blowing my goose call to go to calling contests. and everything.
yeah.
But like once you get the right experiences, the right hunts, the right experiencing nature, hearing the right goose sounds, it just kind of consumes you, and you're just like obsessed with it. You know what I mean? So it just
Well, I need a new hobby, like a hole in the head. But now that I've, got connected with Joe and Nick and you and these other
Sure.
guys, it's like, God, I kind of want to try this. I mean,
Do
I'm
it,
very
do it.
competitive by nature.
do it.
But I'm not a specialist. I'm an all outdoors guy. I mean, I fish, I hunt, I ice fish,
Sure.
I forage. I mean, like, I want to know everything. Even I'm going down to South Carolina. I'm going saltwater fishing.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
satisfied with just going fishing with somebody who knows what they're doing. No. I want to know why the fish are doing what they. I want to catch them on my own. I want to learn.
Sure.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not like. I want to know everything. I don't want to know
Sure.
one thing. So it's like that jack of all trades, master of none. That's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like I haven't really. I mean, there's a couple things I'm pretty good at.
some people like that, but for me,
There's no off season, man. I'm
sure.
fucking always busy doing something.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm the same way, just with waterfowl though. Like, springtime I'm out, studying geese, listening to them. Obviously, fall I'm hunting. Summertime I blow my goose call. I mean, I blow my goose call every day of the year, every day. But summertime, like, I mean, I'm listening to routines. I'm practicing my routine,
Yeah.
And then I'm
Well,
running.
I mean,
I'm doing
you're
all
gonna
that stuff.
need to do that to be successful.
Right. So it's all about where you
Yeah.
So, but you were talking. You want to do a goose calling contest?
Well,
That's
I
what
mean,
you're saying?
just I'm nowhere near good enough. I mean, not even remotely close.
Here, I'll tell you. This is what I'll tell you though, and any contest caller will tell you the same thing. First of all, just by getting up there shows that. Well, first of all, you have the balls to do it. I mean, it's for whatever reason, it is a scary
I'm not
deal.
afraid to be on a stage.
But
I don't give a shit. I've been on a stage most of my life.
just going up there, you're gonna get probably more invites because it's like, hey, that guy has confidence in his calling. Like,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
bring
yeah.
him with. But the thing is, so we Joe and the Minnesota State. We had our stage rage contest out at Watson.
Yep.
And we have the live goose, like I was explaining before. It's
I had a
60
wedding
seconds.
that weekend, or I totally would have went
Dude,
out there.
next year you be there.
Well, if people would stop getting married, it'd help.
Don't even get me started on weddings during hunting season. Trust me, dude.
Listen,
Ask any of my friends. Do not even get me started.
I can't
Literally.
even complain that much because literally my sister-in-law contacted me because it was a fall wedding, and they're like, which one of these dates would work better? Is this on? Is there any openers on it? Because like, I might acquiesce a middle weekend, you know.
Sure.
But don't get married on an opener of any
Oh,
sort,
man.
whether it's archery, early goose, duck. Just don't do it.
Don't even get me going.
Because I'm not
I
going.
have nothing good to say.
Here's the thing:
Well,
if you want me at your wedding, don't do it. And if you're fine with me not being there, great. We're on the same page.
yeah. Well, it's like do you want to have your wedding on a date that every guy that hunt, which should be a lot of them, in my opinion. If you're a guy, you should hunt.
It's
if you're
just a
girl, you
pussy
should hunt.
whip filter is all it is.
Right. You schedule your wedding on duck opener. You want a bunch of crabby people there.
Right.
I'm sitting here at this wedding when I could be
I'm
hunting.
showing up in camo late.
Right, yeah. And I have to go to this wedding. Like, you have all the months out of the year to get married. All the months. And
All
then you
of
get
them.
married during one of the most important times of the year. Like,
It's limited.
it's
We have
limited,
60
exactly.
days for ducks. A little more for geese, but we have 60 days. That's it. 60 out of 360. You have 105 other fucking days.
Get this.
To make
You want
a
to
bad
talk
life
about limited?
choice.
My cousin, actually, or second cousin, got married on the second weekend of deer season, man.
I wouldn't go.
And I
I'm
hunt
not
with
going.
her family.
I'm not going.
I hunt with her family. Like, literally, yeah, she got married on the second weekend of, and she even said to me when we went to
Send
the
your
wedding,
card.
she's like, hey, I know this wasn't the best timing. You know what
No,
I
you're
mean?
right,
Like,
and I'm not going to be there. So,
I went,
oh, what's the matter with you?
she wasn't
you deer hunt
too
then?
far. I deer hunt one weekend out of the year.
Okay.
And we go up to Roseau. And it's kind of that. My first hunt was a deer hunt ever because my dad, he doesn't do anything
I
but
think
deer
a lot
hunt.
of people probably start out like that.
Yep.
Just because it's such a tradition.
Well, and you go out with your dad or you go out with your grandpa, you know, and you sit in the stand, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I deer hunt one weekend of the year, but usually it works out. I get in my deer stand and then I'm like hearing specks, I'm hearing snows and geese. I'm like, man, I could be grinding them or I could be hunting them. So then I'm like, the second weekend I'm going. And I've actually historically had some pretty darn good hunts like the weekend after.
that is pretty
deer
torturous
season.
when you're in the deer stand and it's a migration day and you
Oh,
just see them
man.
overhead and you're like, fuck, why?
I had that same thing happen with a wedding too. Speaking of that, like I was able to hunt in the morning. It was like an October wedding or something like that, and it was going to be a migrator day, and they didn't push in the morning, and I had to leave. Ask any of my buddies; they know I was not too thrilled about this. And I get to the wedding. It was an outdoor wedding in October. Sit down, and they just start rolling, man. Like they're walking down and just migrator flock after migrator flock, and I'm just like,
Fucking A. That's where you pointed out. You're like, you see this, fuckers? You see what's going on right here? That's how much I love you. Don't fucking forget it.
right? But you know what? If that's what they want to do, you know, they get married. But
God.
weddings are important too. But
Are they? Are they, though? Are they? The
But
divorce
to us
rate's
hunters,
the divorce rate's like 51% now. It's like more.
to us hunters, or people that have hunters in their family, just do us a favor. September through December,
I'll even throw
off
fishes in there.
limits.
Same thing.
off limits.
If you think it's a good idea to plan a wedding on the Minnesota fishing opener, you're an asshole.
What are you thinking? Like, do you
You're
not look at like,
you are a selfish prick.
yeah.
Why would you do that?
I just don't get it.
So it's the same thing for hunting. Just don't. Just don't. I mean, if it's an in-between day, like I said, I'm gonna write off openers.
Right.
Those are
openers.
sacred.
Right.
I'm not. If you choose that
If it's
weekend,
got to
I'm
be
not-
the fall colors, at
I
least,
am not
you know,
coming
but-
to your wedding.
Sure.
But if you have to have a fall wedding, as long as it's not on an opener, I'll
Yeah,
probably show up.
Openers are
I'll
bad,
show
dude.
up, depending on what time you plan it for, at least to the reception.
Now, my sisters, so I have
some-
two younger sisters, they're like, I'm going to have a fall wedding. And I think they just say that just to get under my skin.
Get under your skin. Yeah.
Because they know,
Which I
they
appreciate.
live with me, you know, like I talk about it all the time. But like, I'm going to have a fall wedding. I'm like, well, I'm going to hunt that morning. I'm like, so pictures have got to be like half an hour before the wedding starts because
Right.
I'm going to be, you know,
Yeah.
out doing what men should do,
If you want
right?
me to show up, or just hunters in general, there's tons of women that hunt.
Heck yeah.
I like, it doesn't have to be a man or woman thing.
No,
it's
no, not
like,
at all.
If you're a hunter, you got shit to do, bro. Like,
I mean, doesn't like a nice like summer wedding sound good or like
Well,
a
they are hot.
spring? They can be hot, yeah. And then you got
and then
springtime.
the winter's cold. Spring's rainy. You know what? Just don't get married.
Yeah, I don't
How
think the
about
women
that?
are as
How
big of a
about,
fan
can we
of
just
that
be
idea.
done with getting married? Can we just be done with all that nonsense? For one, it's just stupid. I mean, all the money you spend on a wedding,
Yeah.
it's just for one day. for
Right.
other people.
I don't know. Weddings
many
are pretty darn
decoys that
fun,
is?
though. You know, weddings are pretty fun, though. I mean,
They can be fun.
you get an open bar and you get the whole crew there together.
Skip.
I've been to some pretty fun weddings the last couple
ceremony.
of years.
Get a justice of the peace, whatever. Get a guy's like, do you? Yep. Do you? Yep. Great. Let's
Go
party.
to the courthouse.
Now the receptions. I'm in, because those don't start at 10 o'clock
Right.
in the morning, right? Those 5, 6, 7 o'clock, whatever. Great. Perfect. Awesome. I can do that. I
Sure.
can do that and check out early. I can hunt that morning. I can check out early that night, and I can still hunt the following morning. You're not fucking my plans up at all.
Right.
But if your ceremony's at fucking 11 o'clock, and if you're really an asshole, you invite me to be in the wedding. Now I gotta be there early for pictures.
Right.
Now you're crossing some lines.
Here's a real good idea. If you have to, say, heaven forbid, you have to have a fall wedding, hunting season wedding, do it on a Sunday. Have the wedding on a Sunday, and then have the bachelor party, and the bachelor party if they want a guided hunt somewhere.
Oh,
that would be a pretty darn good idea.
Right, you know, the other here, this isn't hunting related actually, but one of the biggest asshole moves that people get married do is they'll do it on a holiday weekend, like Memorial or Labor Day weekend.
So then you
and
really
they're like,
gotta,
oh, well, this way you don't have to worry about traveling,
or vacation days or something.
Just killed my 3-day weekend.
Well, it's kind of like,
you picked one day out of a 3-day weekend. It kills my.
It's kind of like, what do you want
weekend.
me to have to make a decision between my grandma who wants me at her house for Christmas or your wedding?
Going to the cabin.
It's almost like they want to
whatever.
see
finally got
who actually cares about them. Like you passed your grandma up
Yeah.
to go to
Yeah.
her house and have supper and get Christmas presents, but no, you're at my wedding right now.
You want me to give up one of the few 3-day weekends I get a year for your one freaking day. God, that sucks. Don't do that. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about getting married, not on a 3-day weekend, not on any kind of outdoor opener. There's a shit ton of other days. Choose those.
We just gotta like make a big list of them so everybody knows. Like Minnesota fishing opener is well, most states don't even have fishing openers.
Just go on. Yeah, right. I mean, it's only really the upper Midwest that does it.
But like, okay, deer openers this day. Usually,
actually, like Wisconsin, Minnesota, like the only states.
Right?
Left
I know.
that
Isn't
do
that crazy? Or you look at like the regulations, right? Minnesota is crazy with regulations. I remember talking to some of my buddies from other states. They're like, "Oh, we can do this here." I'm like, we can't do that in Minnesota. Like we have a lot more.
Yeah, we have a lot of regs.
We have way more outdoors.
But to be honest, I'm not going to shit on the fact that we have a lot of regs because they're trying to protect.
Oh yeah,
the resource.
Right.
You know
exactly.
And there's
a lot
so
of habitat
much
and
shade. If I can throw out a young person term,
yeah,
they throw a lot of shade towards DNR.
Right.
Like the DNR do nothing right. All these other acronyms or whatever. It's
yeah.
They're not against you.
Been checked twice this year already.
I haven't been checked yet this year.
I get checked a lot.
I
get checked a lot.
It's just
where I live.
They're protecting the resource.
Right.
The resource that you are actively out pursuing and then you actively out love. They're on your side.
100%.
Like, they're not the enemy. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing,
right,
you're fine.
It's not hard to follow the rules.
And is it sometimes an inconvenience? Yeah. But if that inconvenience means you have a better outdoor experience in the long run, isn't that worth it?
Well, what was it in like the 1800s when everybody was over here before the days of refrigeration? They killed off all the deer.
Oh, with the market hunting?
They killed market
everything.
Hunting. Yep, they killed off everything.
All ducks.
And so they had to rebuild it up. And there's no way you could have done that without people enforcing it.
There's a reason why it's illegal to sell wild game.
Right. Exactly.
Because greedy corporations, money, they would rape the resource again.
They would
just do it. It's
right.
It's a unfortunate part of the human nature, but they just would. Somebody would say, I don't give a shit if I kill the very last pintail ever, as long as I make $100 on it.
Right. Money would motivate people to poach.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
stuff.
great. It's great that you can't legally sell any part
Right.
of a native wild animal in this country.
It's good.
It's very good. It's why we have such a bountiful supply of them now.
Right.
I mean, look at the cranes. I mean, the cranes are coming back
Exactly.
like crazy. And I don't know that they were. I don't think that they were a victim of the market hunting. I think they were more a victim of like pesticides and herbicides, the DDT.
Okay.
But they're coming back like crazy. And it's only a matter of time before we have a statewide crane season.
I know.
I mean, they seem to be everywhere.
That'll be crazy.
I
Dude, you
can't
go up north, and
wait.
obviously up by where they hunt them and stuff, like you go up north and they're everywhere, dude.
I can't wait.
It's crazy, man.
The first weekend of the statewide crane season, we're going to smash. And then
That's on my bucket list, man.
And then it's going to be a struggle bus the rest of the time because from what I understand of crane hunting, where they are hunted, it's tough. They're smart birds.
Have you seen crane wreckers and stuff? Have you seen that stuff?
Yeah.
Dude, in high school, man, we in science class, me and a buddy, we had to like take a YouTube video and like give some kind of science explanation of it. And there's a part in crane wreckers when there's a crane still standing up, it was on the ground, it couldn't fly. The guy runs up to it with his shotgun, holds his shotgun by the stock, and decapitates it with its barrel. Just
swings it like a bat.
Yeah, so we use that.
That's
for our
crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, we didn't think anything of it. You
Yeah.
know, and gave some long explanation of it. But yeah, I mean, just thinking of it, they're like pterodactyls.
Dude, they have a sword attached to their face.
It's crazy.
Have you seen the videos of the guy? He has a dog. He's got a retriever, but the dog wears like snowmobile goggles
To go pick them up?
to go pick him up. Yeah,
Oh,
because their
okay.
feet are long and lanky,
Sure.
and their beaks are. It's like otherwise they poke their fucking eyes out. It's hilarious watching this dog run out there. And he's got these fucking goggles on. You know how labs are? They just like they got that smile on their face when they're hunting. You know.
Supposedly they taste really good, too.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. They're supposed to be really good. I mean, ribeye of the sky is the adage, and I think I
Right.
just talked about this with the guy on my previous episode, but I've had it.
Have you?
It is good.
Is
It's,
it?
yeah, it's really good. It's better than Canada Goose for sure.
Does it taste like waterfowl, or does it taste
Yeah,
totally
no, it
different?
still has a wild game.
Does it?
It's got that wild game taste to it, and I mean that in the best way possible. I mean, I love wild game. I don't. Beef is boring to me.
Right, oh yeah.
And I'll choose wild game over domestic anytime, except for ducks. I mean, domestic ducks. Man, do they taste good? But
oh yeah, well you got enough.
I
for
know
a
I
while
got
here.
3 ducks out and 2 geese out in the yard that they will be consumed. They are not pets. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the crane meat. It is really good. So ribeye of the sky, that's a stretch.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not ribeye.
Yeah, when I first heard
But
that, I was like, really?
I would
Like,
give it a sirloin.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Sure.
It is definitely it's better than Canada Goose, but I would put it right in line with snow geese.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ate much snow geese,
I
but
haven't
snow geese
much.
get such a bad rap. But it's I've heard the term they say commonality. Oh, what's the term? Commonality breeds resentment or contentment.
Yep.
So there's so many of them, you start viewing them as a pest. You
Okay.
hear them you hear people refer to snow geese as flying carp.
You see signs. The farmers are like, "Come kill my geese."
Yeah,
They
flying
want 'em
carp.
Gone. Yeah.
Well, I think they taste better than Canada geese.
really? Huh.
They're great. I love them, and I love
I've
love
heard people
Canada
say
geese
that.
too. Though
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that, and that's not a dig on Canada's, but Canada's is more. It's darker red. It's more beefy, whereas like a snow goose is a little lighter colored. So
Sure.
that wild game in air quotes that can throw some people off. It's not as pronounced in snow geese.
You want to know what whenever people, so when you ask landowners, do you want me to gift you some meat if I hunt out here, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times you get, no, I don't eat those sky carp. I don't eat those ugly bastards,
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't I shoot some geese out here? I'll go home and I'll make some goose jerky and I'll bring that back to you. And I just want to see what you think about it. I watched a landowner eat the whole bag in front of me one time, dude.
No, that rumor that knowledge has gotten around.
Goose jerky is phenomenal.
It's great. It's
You get that
it's
gamey
prime
taste.
for making
Yeah.
jerky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a prime cut for that. And word's out. I mean, we've been out, in the spring for snow geese, scouting around, and we go and ask, and you trying to find landowners. A lot of times it's hard, but you see a guy farming and you stop a guy. And we just talked to one of the hired hands. He's like, oh, I can't give you permission for that, but so-and-so's over there. I don't know when he's going to be back, but you can stop in, blah, 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 blah. And I've had a couple times where they'll go, hey, you got any goose jerky? Because they know that hunters will offer that.
Yep.
And I'm like, actually, I do. Because generally, I'll bring some with, because sometimes that can help you. I mean,
Sure.
It's a good tool to keep in the old bag there.
I mean, if I had to eat goose jerky or eat beef jerky, man,
I
would gobble up that goose
100%.
jerky. I don't even like beef jerky if it's compared to goose jerky.
Because it's bland. It has no flavor.
I like that gamey taste that's in that goose jerky, man.
It's the same thing if I'm going to make a steak. You want to give me a beef steak or a goose breast, I'm going to pick the goose breast every time.
Right.
I'm going to pick the venison every time. With beef, you have to impart flavor to it. Wild game comes prepackaged with flavor.
Right. And
now,
if you're really a good hunter, you can tell exactly what it is by eating it.
And it doesn't have the fat, so you have to know what you're doing or you're going to screw it up. I mean, that's the thing with beef. It's like it's so fatty that like you can hardly – well, you can cook it well done, and it's still almost palatable. I mean, I hate well done beef, but I mean, you can if you have to. But last night, I ground up my geese I shot this year. I cut it a little bit with beef just to add some fat in there. I grilled a couple burgers last night. They were phenomenal.
Heck yeah.
They were so good. Melt some cheese on there. Oh, God, it was so good. And you can swap it out. I mean, grinding it's awesome because any kind of hot dish or casserole, chili, anything like that, it's a great substitute. Just throw that in there instead of beef. And for those
we do that with our venison.
Yeah, and for those that are leery of the wild game flavor, you can't pick it out. Once that shit goes into a chili.
Dude, any kind of casserole. You put the right stuff in it. We make this goose casserole. It's got wild rice, mushrooms, celery, and just little chunks of goose breast in it. If I had to have one last meal, man,
that's it.
I would eat a pot of that. That is so good. You want to win a landowner over, bring some of that stuff over.
So the episode that's getting released this week, the one before this one, is with Jamie Carlson, and he's like a wild game chef. He has a blog, and probably my favorite episode I've recorded yet, because I thought I knew how to cook until I met this cat, and then started looking at his Instagram, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, I need to up my game.
So what'd you say he was, a professional?
Well, he just
wild,
it's
wild
more.
Game chef,
he's
or
not
what?
really professional. He just this is his passion. He has a blog.
Sure.
And so he's just always been, he started the blog to kind of keep track of recipes. And then it just got traction. He's been doing it for years and years and years and years. But he gave me a jar of this chutney, which chutney, I didn't even know what it was till I met him. But chutney is like a jam, but it's like a spicy jam. It's not sweet.
Okay.
There's a little bit of sweet aspect. So he gave me a wild plum chutney. So when I grilled these goose burgers last night, I melted some cheese on them. I brought them in, and I let it rest a little bit. You always got to let it rest. That's like one of the tips I can give anybody out there that's cooking any kind of meat, whether it's beef or wild game or whatever. Don't eat it right away. Let that thing rest for 5 minutes, because it sucks all that moisture back into it as it cools. So I let it rest a little bit. And then I took some of that chutney and I just smeared it all on it, a little bit of sauce on it.
Oh, man.
And that, like, the tanginess and the sweetness of the plums. Oh, it just pairs so good with that goose, that wild game taste. It was amazing. I made like a half-pound burger for myself and then one for my son, and he just destroyed it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. And there was just on, like, Minnesota Waterfowlers today on the Facebook page, there was just a big thing. What's your favorite recipe for geese? And to the credit, a lot of people had good ones.
Yep.
But there's always a handful of those guys.
Minnesota waterfowlers.
Throw it in a pot with a belt. Put your favorite seasonings in there. Throw the meat away. Dump the water out. Eat the belt. Dude, learn how to cook. If that's honestly what you think, learn how to cook. Because it's good. I mean, okay, granted, I don't like green peppers. Some people love them. So it can be a flavor thing. It is possible that somebody just genuinely doesn't like the flavor of wild game. But with that said, most people are killing it.
Oh, yeah.
They're overcooking it. They're not taking any care of it once they kill it.
Right.
Piling it up. They're throwing it around. They're not, and in my opinion, once you kill something, at that point it becomes food. And
right.
you need to treat it as such.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't take a deer and let it sit in the back of your truck for 3 fucking days and then finally get around to cleaning it. I mean, how many guys do you know that do shit like that? And then they bitch, all these things taste like shit. Well, fuck, of course they do. You've done nothing
right
to help your situation.
And especially with like a goose, it's not like you're going to gut a goose.
Right.
I mean, that's
I've thought about it.
All that.
Especially
early
if you're
season
when it's
let
hot.
them sit. Yeah. You let them sit all day, but yeah. Ugh.
I haven't done it, but I've thought of it. You just try to clean them right away. You get home and you just clean them things right away. You can't just let them sit there.
Right.
I mean, if it's cold, later in the season, you can get away
season,
with it. But even then, you're better off just taking care of it as soon as you can.
Now, do you spend a lot of time on that Minnesota waterfowlers page?
No, it just comes across my feed.
You see it all in that page.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh.
It's just crazy. It's just, it comes across my feed. And I generally just ignore it until there's something I just can't ignore, and then I got to throw a comment in there. But I try not to, because it's like beating your head against the wall.
Well, it's just a combination of, people. What I don't like to see is I don't like to see when people make like snarky comments on people for just hunting. You know what I mean? Like oh, you only have 25 geese. Well, I have 27.
Oh yeah.
Like that type of stuff. For like you don't have any
competition,
or you don't have any like that. The oldest.
Nice real treat, bro.
Oh man, yeah. My buddy did actually kind of a troll post, and he was like, he made this long post. Like, I don't know if you saw any of this, but he's like,
probably did.
I've been told, or what was it? No, he was like acting like he was looking for a new hunting crew that all of them wore Sitka, because he was sick of not limiting out with his hunting crew that didn't wear Sitka. And like he went on and he's like, and then I'm going to take out another credit card and get a Sitka Super Black Eagle, just to figure it all out. And then most people were like, okay, you're trolling, dude. And then other people were like,
they
gave into it and like started yelling at him like, you need to move out of your parents' house and you need to get a job and all this time. And it was just a mess. Like, I saw the notification he posted. I'm like, here we go. I called him up and he's like, oh my God, I hope
today's society, people are just, they're like, they just got two in the barrel. Just they like wake up in the day waiting to be offended. So those ones are just they don't have it in them. Even with probably every bell is going off, telling them that this is a troll post, they can't not react to it.
Right?
They literally can't not.
It's like clickbait. It's like
it is clickbait. It's
that's what he did.
He's
He's like, I'm gonna throw it out there and I'm gonna hit every little button to just make people.
Bro, your Sitka's garbage. That's basically Walmart. I mean, you gotta Kuyu is the way to go.
It's warm. It's warm. Yeah, I know, but like
no. Here's the thing with Sitka though, and I don't own any.
I don't either.
But I'll probably get some eventually.
Right.
For no other reason than that Optifade camel pattern. And I've said this before on the podcast before. My buddy Joel has some Sitka in that Optifade. And he took his jacket off, or his vest, or whatever the fuck it was, and it got hot. We were hunting like a, combine cornfield.
Yep.
He threw that fucking vest on the ground. You could hardly see it. I was like, you better fucking remember where you put that fucker. I mean, it blended in.
Well, that's what they claim,
Fucking perfectly.
I got a bunch of buddies that are on the train, and I remember talking to Joe a couple of years ago, when I first started contest calling and stuff, and he's like, I don't know if I want to get into it, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of guys that I know like it strictly for the warmth of it, you know.
Yeah, and
Like,
I
they
am
like to be
not.
warm.
I have never been a brand guy
Yeah.
for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing equipment, hunting apparel, guns, bows. I'm not. I don't care, as long as it works for me.
Right.
As long as I like how it works. I like if it's durable. Is the customer service great? If something does go wrong, how is the customer service? That's the shit that matters to me.
Right.
So I don't give a shit that Sitka is like this brand that, people want to
Sick
have
for
to
it,
keep up with
yeah.
the Joneses or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what, I like that Optifade pattern, and the people that I know that have it actually swear by
it 100%.
the quality of it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Yes, it's expensive, but if it's as good as they say, it's probably worth it. Wait for that shit to go on sale.
Right.
Save a couple bucks. But with that said, it's not the end all. If
What
if
I
you're
will
out there
say
and
about it,
don't
like-
make it a barrier.
Right.
Like if you can't get Sitka, it isn't something to be ashamed of. Let somebody, the nice real. Yeah, man, if all you can afford is fucking what they sell at Walmart, get what they sell at fucking Walmart.
I will say this. I know people that are head to toe in Sitka, right? Head to toe. That don't own a single decoy. You know the type of people
All
I'm
right.
talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's like anything.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you could for me, it's always been like I'm gonna spend my money on more decoys, more of
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So that's one of the reasons.
Can't
but
ever
like,
have too many.
I mean,
decoys.
there is that person out there. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But as long as you are hunting and you have your own stuff, dude, buy all the Sitka you want.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
shit.
But heck
Dude,
yeah.
there's always gonna be the keeping up with the Joneses guys.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's just always, dude. There's people that buy unreported bands off of eBay.
Oh man, did you remember that?
That's a thing.
The guy that posted he killed 3 geese and he bought 3 neck collars and he like took a picture of him buy it and he's like, I'm still in shock. Period. And then like the first comment was like a guy typed in Goose neck collars and like the first thing was those 3 bands. Have you seen that? The post? Oh, it's hilarious. The guy bought 3 neck collars. It was the first one that popped up on eBay for neck collars, and then he posted them in a row in the same order.
If you by chance that guy is listening to this podcast, you're a douche. You need some therapy. You need to not worry about what other people fucking think of you, and nobody is fucking impressed.
Or if you're gonna go that route, at least scroll down to number 15 instead of number 1.
Jesus
3
Christ.
neck collars for sale. No, first one that pops up on eBay. Like,
God damn it, dude. Unbelievable. It's just like I wonder, like I literally wonder what goes on in their head. Really, like, because when you're buying unreported bands off of eBay and you're putting them on your lanyard to show them off to your buddies, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, you know you're full of shit.
oh yeah, you'd have to. I mean, But
And for what?
But you know what? Then it just goes back to, like you said, keeping up with the Joneses.
God, it's just crazy to me.
Like,
It's
I want to
just-
brag about having, you know what I mean?
I guess it's off-brand Coach purses. It's
the fake Oakleys
fake Oakleys
coming from China.
knockoff
yeah, that was a big
Nikes. You know, whatever they. I mean, it's just.
Or what the Yeezys? Have you heard of it? Like the fake
Yeezys,
Yeezys. Yeah.
It's just the whole thing is just odd to me because that's just never been my scene. So I have a hard time trying to understand it.
Right.
You know, because I'm like, I just don't get it. Does it work for you? Then get it. I mean, to not completely change subjects, but when I went to get a decent bow, like I was rocking a fucking 1980, who God knows what piece of shit bow for a long ass time. It was heavy, it was loud, it was slow. I killed deer with it, so it's
Right.
really hard for me to, justify spending a shit ton of money on a new bow. But the problem was I hated it. So when it come time to like practice, I'd see it sitting in the corner and be like, I should probably practice. Ugh, fuck that thing. Like
Yeah. Sure.
It kept me from being more proficient with it.
Okay.
But I made up my mind that I'm not going to buy a new bow until I can afford to get the bow I really want, regardless of what it costs. And when I went into the archery shops, I pulled everything back. went to multiple shops, pulled every make, model, brand they had. I told them, like, don't tell me the price. I don't even want to know the brand name. Just hand me a bow, and I'm going to pull it back and see which one fits me, see which one I like the best. Of course, I picked one of, like, the most expensive motherfuckers out there. I mean, goes without saying. Like, if you went and test drove stuff blindfolded, yeah, you're probably going to walk out of there with, like, a fucking Porsche or a Lamborghini or something because it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But, and then I didn't buy anything for a couple of years. And then when I finally had the money, I was like, I'm buying one this year. And I went back. I pulled them all again. Shit changes. I change. Bow models change.
Yep.
You know, might not be the same thing. And I ended up going with the Matthews. And honestly, I got a bunch of buddies that shoot Hoyt, and I thought I would shoot a Hoyt because they say nothing but good things about it.
Sure.
And it came down to a Hoyt. Came down to a Hoyt and a Matthews are the last two. And it's like, I just like the Matthews better. And I'm not saying that to pump out Matthews. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but whether it goes for Sitka or Scentlock or banded gear, whatever it is you like to do, whatever the equipment is, whether it's a weapon, clothing, decoys, whatever.
Get what you want.
What works for you, what you have confidence in, brand name be damned, use that. And fuck what everybody else says.
Well, and I will say, you know, being a goose caller, I will say this though, like, if you want to learn how to blow a goose call, do not go to Fleet Farm and spend $20 on a goose call.
Dude, there's no reason anymore. No, I kind of did. I mean, I went with like a buck.
I did too.
I
got a buck Canada Hammer.
Canada Hammer is what
Canada
I started
Hammer. I had one of those. Your best option for learning on a goose call, if you don't want to buy an acrylic, because an acrylic call is going to run you anywhere from $100 to $160, $180, depending on what you get. But they're making Delrin calls now. Like, I sell a bunch of the Delrin calls, the Delrin Molkiers, the Delrin EX3, the EX Reflex, Rush, whatever.
Get to go
they
to.
flat out shred. Go to, yeah.
Dude, to go to. I mean, I picked one up, you know, from Joe, and $60.
Right?
$60.
They shred, dude.
It's a great call.
I'm always tuning my buddies' Delrins, and I get them. I'm like, I could blow a contest routine on this, and it's $50, and it's way more durable than an acrylic.
Right.
Don't do it, but you can chuck the thing across the room. Yeah, you could chuck it across the room and probably be fine. You know what I mean? So I would say, instead of, you know, save up an extra $20 and get a Delrin goose call, because if you're trying to learn how to blow a goose call, having just that little bit nicer call is going to make a huge difference. But that being said, I totally agree with what you were saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But again, you're probably going to fall into that mid-range, you know, Delrin, because, you know, you get that Canada Hammer and you might get frustrated with it.
Right.
You know, you're trying to make these calls that it honestly isn't capable of making.
Or like you said with your bow, you know, if you have a nicer goose call that has a little more capability, you're going to be more likely to practice, and it's going to make you dude, practicing is everything.
But it shouldn't be a barrier for you to get into it.
Right.
If you're put out like, oh, I just can't afford a $150 call, or otherwise I would get into it, get a cheaper one. Even if you actually have to get a $20 one. If that gets
better than nothing,
if that gets your foot in the door and gets you excited about it, then do that. But with that said, I mean, shit, $50-$60 for Delrin for it's a good call.
The
it
low
sounds
end,
good, dude.
The low end is really good on those things too. You know, I run my call a lot. I practice a lot. Like when I first started getting into goose calling contests and stuff, I would blow my goose call for 4 hours a day. I was working in St. Cloud at the time, and I would blow my goose call all the way there.
Yeah, I practice. I almost always practice.
In fact, on my way down here, I was blowing my goose call. You do get some weird looks at stoplights, that's for sure.
Yeah, you should get a convertible.
Yeah, just let it rip. You know what? I actually have a really funny story. Get this about blowing my goose call in my car. So we're out to eat with some of my friends at a restaurant, and I really wanted a California burger, right? And like an idiot, I just said I want a California burger. And the only California burger they had there was a California vegan burger.
Oh, God.
And I was like, I got it. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, No. Like, I'm with people that I took a bite of it, and I'm like, nope. I know. I'm like, nope.
Yep,
No, I
nope.
was looking around for somebody with skinny jeans and fake glasses on to give this thing to. Find some hipped out hippie. You know what I mean? Here, you can have it. Like, there's a bite missing. But anyways, my buddies were like, we're gonna take advantage of this. So I go to the bathroom or something. And right there, and then they went on Amazon. They ordered a sticker that says "Go vegan" and nobody gets hurt.
That's outstanding.
A bumper sticker.
I love your friends.
And so, flashback like a week from then, right? And they knew I, blew my goose call in my car. They slapped that sucker on the back of my car.
Oh, my God.
And I'm driving up to work, and I was just shredding. I'm at a stoplight, just you know what I mean? And then I look to the next, and I get weird looks at stoplights when I'm doing that. I do. But there was a guy in a camo sweatshirt sitting next to me, and he's like looking at me like weird. And then then he flips me the bird. He flips me off. Yeah. He flips me off. And I'm like, the hell is your problem? You know what I mean? Since when are guys in camo sweatshirts flipping me off for blowing a goose call in my car? You know what I mean? So then I get to work. I hadn't noticed that the sticker was on my car yet. So I'm sitting in a stoplight blowing a goose call with a vegan sticker in the back of my car. I get to work, and I'm like, that was weird. Like, what am I doing wrong? So I get in the back, and sure enough, I see the sign. And I'm like,
That's outstanding.
you sneaky bastards.
I love it.
Oh,
You got
man.
good friends.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but anyways, I mean, don't get vegan burgers and practice your goose call.
In general, vegan, you can fuck right off.
Oh, don't even get me going on that either.
Oh, it's just so stupid.
It's not natural. It's not natural.
It's not natural. Here's the thing.
We wouldn't be alive right now if our ancestors were vegans. Let's just put it that way.
It's not even that. You can't actually be vegan. It's impossible.
I believe it.
Because if you're eating nothing but vegetable matter, where's your vegetable matter coming from? You better be growing that shit in your backyard. Because you buy any of that from that fucking store, you killed all sorts of fucking animals.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think that combine goes rolling through that soybean field to make your tofu? You know how much shit's getting killed and that thing's going through?
Oh, yeah.
Bugs. Goes without saying how many grasshoppers, spiders, and everything else that's life that's in there.
Right.
But, a lot of times vegans conveniently be like, well, no, that doesn't really count.
No, you have vegan hair products.
Yeah. Okay, so
and
how
all
about
this
furry
shit.
things? You want to go with furry things? You know how many fucking mice get chewed up by that combine?
Oh,
and
yeah.
run over? There's a reason hawks and vultures follow those combines around.
Right.
Like, they're chopping up everything. Everything they're chopping up.
Oh,
Not to
vegans.
mention just the habitat loss
Right.
that happens when you have a monocrop like corn or soybeans or whatever the fuck it is. So don't come talking to me on your high horse.
It's almost like a identity crisis. Like, I'm not I'm going to be a vegan.
It's virtue signaling.
Vegan.
It's a virtue signal. That's all it is.
And I'm just like, dude, if our ancestors were vegan, we would be dead right now.
If there's a vegan, there's no such thing as a secret vegan. Like if they're a vegan,
they're loud and proud.
They're
about
telling you they're a vegan. They
Like,
can't
I'm a
wait
vegan.
to tell you that they're a vegan.
Or
it's like
you know what? It's
like
almost like
CrossFit.
they want you to get offended. Like they go to like their, family dinner and like, you know what? I'm sorry, but I'm vegan.
Jesus.
I'm
Do
a
you have any
vegan.
gluten-free?
Do you have any? Yeah, I'm a vegan. Like, I'm sorry, I don't judge you guys.
Why do they all talk
It's
like
so open, but
But they do though. They
I'm a
sound like that.
vegan.
That was a soft. Everything isn't a question.
I don't judge
Oh
you.
God.
But
Yes, you do.
yes,
Don't
you
lie
do.
to me.
Yes, you do.
It's virtue signaling at its worst. It's just that's all it is. That's all it is. And honestly, because I'm like an extreme libertarian. Like whatever floats your boat. If that's if that's important to you, then by all means do it. I don't care. Just don't try to alter my lifestyle.
Right.
That's when I have a problem.
Sure.
I don't care if you want to be a furry, vegan, transgender, transracial, alien, half-breed foxkin. If that's what you're into,
It's pretty
if that
country.
makes you happy, I am on your side. Then go do that.
Right.
Don't come at me for how I live then.
Well, see, and the funny thing about it is like, did you see that video of when all those vegans showed up to like a slaughter shop and tied themselves to the slaughter machine? I don't know a whole lot about it, but did you see that? And then like they turned it on, and then they started screaming like, "Shut it off! They're gonna kill him!" And they're like screaming and stuff. And I'm just thinking, I literally commented this. I'm like, "Welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
You do dumb shit. Bad shit is gonna happen.
Yeah. Stupid games win stupid prizes.
Yeah. You tie yourself to a machine that's designed to kill people. Probably not the best idea.
probably not
and then
good.
they turn it on, and then you start screaming
Well, it's like the guys-
"How dare
The
you
tree
turn it
huggers
on?"
that chain themselves to a tree when the logging equipment comes in. It's
Yeah.
like, might not end up very good for you.
It's
That's
just
not a good life choice, bro. And we have
yeah.
trees. The trees are fucking everywhere.
Dude, there's enough of them down here. I was driving down
if you
here.
think
I was
we have
like,
a shortage
"Holy
of trees,
smokes."
just take a quick trip into Canada.
Oh yeah.
Good God.
Oh yeah.
It's just like it's an entire continent covered in trees,
Right.
and they grow back. It's not like it's not a renewable resource. So,
Right.
I mean, I get like on the West Coast, you get like those redwoods that are literally, some of them are honestly thousands of years old.
Yep.
That's kind of a big deal. I mean, like it's one thing you have a fast growing popple, in 5 years it reaches maturity where you can cut it down. That's, but when a certain type of tree takes 1,000 years to get that big, you might want to protect those a little
Right.
bit, but that's, I get it. But
Have you ever had an animal rights activist come out in the field when you're hunting?
no, you've
Been there,
had
done
that?
Yep.
Well, that's why we have phones now.
She had the audacity. Okay, you know what? Actually, she didn't come out to the field. We had just finished up hunting. We had the trailer in the field approach. We had to walk everything out. She had the audacity to drive by once, slow down, yell at us, go up the road, turn around, drive back again, like flip us off. Like, aren't you guys having fun killing all those innocent animals?
How do you know they're innocent? Look at that one over there. It's shifty as fuck. You don't know what that guy. If you watch geese,
Why
they
don't
ain't
you
innocent.
study what Where do you think I buy a duck stamp? I buy my license. Where do you think that money goes? Where's your money going?
They don't understand.
They just do not understand. You look at Africa. Africa is a perfect
Africa's
example of
fucked.
that. Hunting keeps the African animal population alive.
As much as in North America we hate the term like can hunts or high fence hunting.
Yep.
If it wasn't for high fence hunting in Africa,
Their animals
you
would be
wouldn't
gone.
have fucking lions.
You wouldn't have any of 'em.
anything.
The poachers would get
It's
them.
literally the only thing. The fact that they have value to hunters is pretty much the only thing that's saving those animals.
Right. Well,
and it's a hard pill for people to swallow. I
Right.
get it. It seems counterintuitive to kill something to save it. I get it. I mean, honestly, I do.
Right.
I get it. But that's the brutal reality of it. If you
and
don't
it's
give
just
these
that people in
things-
America just can't understand that the fact that, well, first of all, in Africa, there's people that poach because they're starving.
Yeah. Well, and that's
They're
the thing,
hungry.
too. It's
know what I
easy.
mean?
Yeah, and I try to bring that up, too, because a lot of people say, it's really easy to demonize poaching.
Yep.
And poaching in this country is different than
Than
poaching
poaching over
in
there.
Africa.
Yep.
And generally, poachers over here, they're just filled with bloodlust. They're people that probably break every rule anyways. Like, they're anti-authoritarian. They're doing it just, I don't know why. That's what they get off doing.
Right.
They think they're above the law, whatever. They're assholes. In Africa, there's a couple different kinds of poachers.
Yep.
There's poachers that, the black market poachers.
Yeah.
That's different. But the
elephant
vast
tusks and
yeah,
stuff
but
like
the
that.
vast
Yeah.
majority of poachers in air quotes in Africa are people that are trying to feed their family.
They're starving
They're
to death.
literally starving, and they're willing to risk their life so that they can bring some meat back
Right.
to their family.
Exactly.
So you can't just a blanket statement like, oh, they shoot all poachers on sight. Man, that dude is just trying to survive, man.
Right.
So with that said, with regulated hunting, legal and regulated hunting based on sound wildlife management practice will bring money into an area. And you can't bring that meat home. Anywhere in Africa where you hunt a big game animal, whatever it is,
back to
that meat stays there. That meat is donated to the villages. So then you remove that incentive. It's twofold. You remove that incentive for them to poach to feed their family because you're donating that meat to the village.
That and when that money goes to, when they have the fences and they let the lions out and everything. First of all, the money that they use from that goes to anti-poaching.
Right, yeah. So now you're funding
you're saving
park
the
systems.
animal populations.
Right.
And it brings industry to the area.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of industry in Africa. Like, if you can have an industry for people coming from America or Canada or wherever to come hunt a lion.
Yeah,
So
we're preaching to the choir, but it is. It's important for people to understand. It's like without value, without a monetary value to these animals, they're a detriment. So if you're a farmer in Africa, right, and this herd of elephants comes through and wipes out your entire crop of corn,
right,
not even eating it, just walking through it, just plows it down. You want to kill every one of those elephants because that's your livelihood.
Exactly, and that's another thing people don't understand.
So you give value to these elephants. You're bringing money into that. So now they might not even plant corn in that field. They might keep that open so that they can have hunters come in. They might build a lodge. Mm-hmm. Come stay in our village and hunt these elephants and pay us to hunt these elephants.
Right. Give people jobs.
And you're not killing all of them. That's the other.
It's so controlled. I mean,
yeah, and that's the other thing that people don't understand. It's like we're not going to hunt them to extinction. This isn't the market hunting days. This is what we mean by regulated hunting.
Exactly.
Based on sound wildlife management practices. You are going to have a healthier population.
100%.
You're going to have a better human to animal interactions. You're going to, in areas of higher concentration, you keep the animal numbers slightly lower so there's less conflict. You're not ever going to eliminate it, but you're going to have less of it. But overall, you're going to end up with more of them. And I get it. It is counterintuitive to kill
if
something
you're sitting in,
to save something.
In the cities, eating your vegan burger with your vegan hair products, you don't understand it.
No, you don't understand it. Well,
you don't understand it.
Here's the other analogy that people have heard this from me before. I'll say it again. The analogy I like to give is like a sports analogy. People that claim to be animal lovers, right? Because they see these charismatic creatures on TV and nature channels and cartoons and whatever else. They claim to be animal lovers, but they know nothing of them. They don't know what time of year they breed.
Right.
They don't know how they breed. They don't know what they eat. They don't know anything. Well, here now you have hunters that if they're hunting whatever particular quarry they
study it.
You know everything about those geese.
You study
You're
it.
big into goose hunting, right?
You try
know
to be one
everything
of them.
about those
Exactly.
geese. You know when they breed. You know how they breed. You know their courtship displays.
Right.
You know what their shit smells like. You literally know what their shit smells like.
Right.
You know what they eat when they eat. You know when they're going to move. You know everything about them.
Exactly.
You're an animal lover. You know everything about them. You don't want them to extinct. You don't hate them. You always want them around.
Right.
I would never not want there to be geese.
I would cry.
I love that there's geese. I love that there's wolves. I mean, a ton of people are like, fucking wolves, they kill my deer. Listen, I love that there are wolves on the landscape.
Right.
I think they're badass animals. Do I think they should be hunted? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%. But I like that there is wolves out there. I don't want to hunt them to extinction. I like wolves. Wolves are fucking badass creatures.
Right.
That doesn't exclude them from management practice.
Well, and that's when people bring up that thing. They think that, like, we're going to open wolf hunting. That means we're going to clear them out.
No.
They're going to be regulated like every other game
It
animal.
almost should be celebrated because if an animal species gets to the point where their population is healthy enough that it can sustain, not even a problem, that it can sustain some harvest, however limited. Maybe it's only 5 tags. But the fact that the population is enough for there to be any hunting, means the population is doing good. You should be celebrating that.
Right.
That's a good thing. So going back to the analogy, I used the sports analogy. So someone saying that they love animals but they know nothing about them is like me saying I am the biggest football fan in the world because I think Aaron Rodgers is cute.
Right.
I don't know what position he plays.
Yeah,
I don't know what team he plays for.
Defensive end.
I don't know what the rules are of the game. I don't know how the game is scored. I don't know anything about it. But not only am I an animal, not only am I a football lover, but I should have an input on how the game is played.
That's a really good analogy.
I should be able to say what the rules are because Aaron Rodgers is cute.
Right.
I love Aaron Rodgers. No, you don't. You're based on nothing but emotion, aesthetics.
You ask them, so
emotional.
they say Aaron Rodgers is cute. Well, is he a good quarterback?
They don't know. It doesn't matter.
They don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's based purely on how they look. It's
but
this
a wolf,
idea,
a wolf
this charismatic
is cute.
idea.
A wolf is good looking, but what do they do?
Bears.
I mean,
People get pissed off about bears all the time. We have teddy bears. My kid goes to sleep with a bear.
Right, but how many animals does a bear eat?
All of them. I mean,
how does a bear stay alive?
They're the number one predator of deer and elk. I mean, they literally will take them as they're being born out of the mother deer, out of the mother elk. They will pull a being born calf right out and eat it while it's still alive.
I heard stories
bleeding.
They know the scent when a elk is pregnant.
Yeah,
and they'll follow that sucker.
They'll wait till they drop.
They'll follow that sucker for the whole time that they're pregnant just to eat those baby elk out of the womb.
I'm not demonizing it. That's nature.
Yep.
That's just nature is fucking brutal. You want to get on hunters, and again, I know we're singing to the choir here, preaching to the choir here, but you want to get on hunters for being cruel, being this, that, and the other thing. It's like, listen, you shoot that goose. And in a perfect world, it's dead like that. Maybe you break a wing and you have to go finish it off. No more than, 5 minutes passes before that thing is dead?
Right.
Usually in the wild, when something eats another, or a hawk doesn't wait for the animal to die. It pins it down and starts eating right away. It starts plucking feathers and starts eating right away as that thing is still alive. It's pulling flesh out of it.
And that's the thing that people need to understand.
And again, I'm not demonizing it. That's just how nature works.
The nature world is unforgiving.
Oh, it's brutal as fuck.
There are no rules.
No. There's no
rules.
Morality.
There's survival.
There's no morality.
No morality.
Or ethics.
No
in
survival.
Nature.
Well, it's all survival.
It's all survival.
Yeah, exactly. And people, have you followed the Instagram page? Nature is Metal.
Yes.
Holy
the best
smoke.
pages of all time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, but I get
your eyes.
I get irritated, not by the site, but because so much of their stuff it's all blurred out and it's like unsensitive material. You got to uncover it.
Do you want to see this censored?
So here we are in today's society. That nature, as it's always been,
right,
as it is, needs to be censored. That's how you know we are fucked as a society.
Right.
That we can't even look at nature without being triggered.
Can't accept the fact that you have predators and you have prey. I mean, how do you think these wolves are living out in Minnesota
from how real life
January
works?
You know, they eat, and I mean, I totally agree. It's sad. It's sad.
It's
kids go to their parents. Look at this, mommy. Oh, how'd you find that? Like, we're gonna report that so it gets censored. And
people take in injured animals like, oh, it's so sad. And it's like, is it though? I mean, it just is. I mean, we had to get back to where it's like you understand how the real world works. Listen, it doesn't matter if you're a vegan, if you drive an electric car, if you have a negative carbon footprint, you've never killed anything in your life, you somehow grow your food in a lab. I mean, whatever. I mean, come up with a perfect scenario where you have no impact on the earth whatsoever.
Yep.
At some point in time, this rock that we live on will get hit by an extraterrestrial rock, a comet, something, and it's going to hit the reset button of this planet.
Right.
And nobody is going to remember that you lived carbon neutral.
Right. No, I always think about that. I'm like,
The
what?
universe doesn't give a shit.
What happened if we got rid of Walmart and Aldi? Like, what happens if that was just gone? Like, how would these people live? Are you still going to be a vegan in January?
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, it's like two. It's two different thoughts. Like the one is like we're temporary here and it doesn't matter. But the other one is like you said. I often like jokingly but half serious. Like I wait for the apocalypse. It's like if we had a zombie apocalypse, all the shit we worry about that people get pissed off about, it's gone overnight. Gun control? Ain't nobody gonna be talking to you about taking your guns and be like, we need to get like 50 of them. Fucking zombies are coming.
All of a sudden, they'll call up all these people that have been so like pro Second Amendment. Like, hey, can you come over? There's people trying to raid my fridge.
Your phone's gonna blow up. Everybody that knows that you have guns will be like, hey man, you got any of those spare guns? You got any more of them guns? You know, scratching, doing the Dave Chappelle crack, dude. Not only that, but like the bitching about whatever it is, gender equality, trans rights. Whatever. What all this, gender pronouns, you're not using the right gender. All this shit, it's gone in one night.
Gone.
Because all you are going to be concerned about is surviving.
Right.
And when you have to survive and you have to find food and you have to just live, you're not worried about what somebody thinks of you. You're not worried about
what of the 26 genders you identify as.
Yeah. None of that shit matters. You
might be good for us personally,
dude. I was
bring it on.
Yeah, I
got guns. I got hunting land. I know where to find food.
I call it. They have like and this isn't the same thing, but I always explain it because it can get lost in translation. But so like Hitler, he had ethnic cleansing, so he was like an asshole and he was trying to kill he was like committing genocide.
Yep.
What we need is ethic cleansing.
Right.
In this country. Ethic. Not ethnic, but ethics.
Ethic.
We need people that are lost, that have gone down this rabbit hole of just feeling good about themselves, need to get back to what really fucking matters. Right. Being nice to one another, being respectful of other people's beliefs, of their livelihoods, and being connected to where your food comes from, how the real world works.
Right.
You don't energy isn't free. There's a trade-off. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And you might think because you're vegan, you're living this great karma-free life, but you're not. You're just not. Listen, how many lives are lost? Again, you're going down to insects, to mice, to fawns, to rabbits, to birds, whatever you kill by combining these massive crop fields. How many individual lives are lost versus the guy that goes out and shoots one elk that fills his freezer for an entire fucking year?
Right. No kidding.
Who's the asshole here? Who killed more life?
Right. Exactly.
The vegan by far. And cowardly killed it because he is paying somebody to take those lives for him.
Right.
And he is buying it in the store.
Well, and another thing, too, is that, and I'm sure this isn't universal code, but normally in nature, I've studied this a little bit, and Scott Trinan has taught me a little bit of this, but when you look at animals, now a goose is a prey animal, and why do you know that? Because it has eyes on each side of its head, so it can see when it's feeding on the ground, eating grain or grass, whatever, it can see on both the sides.
Right.
Now, a coyote or a wolf has eyes on the front of his face. It's a predator. Now, I don't know about you, but it looks like we have our eyes on the front of our face.
Right, yeah.
Like we're in the same, our makeup is to eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the thought of even being vegan is
it's weird, but
not right.
I mean, with that said, I do think there's probably some populations that do better with a vegetarian or a vegetable-based diet. Maybe not solely, but we are, as humans, we are wildly variable. you know, just like you have some people that can't do gluten. You have some people that can't do dairy. You've got, I mean, we
Right.
vary a lot.
Oh yeah.
I
would. I
so
mean,
I think
if I
you go
couldn't
back
eat
like
meat,
in
I'd
a,
cry. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
That's the thing. Like if that tick, that Lone Star tick that transmits that disease. Have you heard
Yep.
about that? Where it
Yeah.
makes you allergic to red meat.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I'd probably hang myself.
Oh, that'd
if
be
I
sad.
got that. Like I can't not eat red meat. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So I'm definitely a carnivore, 100%.
Carnivore for sure.
But there's probably some people that maybe meat doesn't agree with them, and that's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
I'm not saying everybody has to hunt, everybody has to eat red meat. It's those people that choose to do it for some sort of one-upmanship and, you know, to pass judgment,
Right.
that virtue signaling, pass judgment on
The
the
people that
They're
go out
the
of their way to
assholes.
make you feel bad about doing what our
Yeah,
ancestors
yeah.
have been doing since the beginning of time.
It's just
you know.
silly. So what are your plans going forward here with Goose? Is that what you're just going to call
Goose
it Goose
brand.
or Goose Co? Goose brand.
Goose
Okay.
brand.
Goose brand.
Yeah. You know what? We're just gonna. I want to promote hunting. I want to promote a lot of the stuff we just talked about. To be honest, I want to continue to try to get people into liking hunting for the right reasons, and to really just being obsessed with hunting to where they want to do it every day. They want to blow their goose call every day. They want to go scouting every day. They want to, hang out. It's.
I really would like to find a way to bring non-hunters out into the field, and not even like you don't even have to shoot.
Right.
Just come with us.
Right.
Just ride along. It's almost like the cop ride along thing, so you kind of understand.
Right.
You know,
You understand the
little
sight of
glimpse
cupped
it.
wings. You see them get off.
See that marsh at sunlight, like we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta experience that.
The ducks coming in when you can't even see them, and you're like looking in your decoys.
Oh,
like,
like
is
when
that a
it's-
decoy or
How
is
about
that
when
a
it's
duck?
dark and you
Like,
get like the ringers come over
Right.
your head and you swear they're gonna take your hat off because all you hear is that. You're like, holy shit! They were
Right.
right fucking there. You can't hear anything.
Yeah.
You know, or you hear the.
Yeah.
It gets you so excited.
And you're like, oh shit, guys, get up, get down, get down.
Yeah. Do you guide at all? Hunts?
Yeah. Well, I'm a guide hand, I'd say.
Okay.
So I guess through my buddies and stuff with contest calling and stuff, I would say sometimes I'm an actual guide hand. When I'm helping clients and setting decoys and everything, and then there's times that your buddies are outfitters and you go hunt with your buddies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what
that
I mean?
happens.
So
Yeah.
it's the same thing,
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been a guide hand for some people
Well,
and
it's
different
in-
stuff like that.
It's in full scale outdoors plan in the future to become a known brand, a known guide outfitter, if you will.
Sure.
Once that happens, let's have to give you a call. You can come
1-800
guide.
David Goos.
You can come guide for me anytime you
Heck
want.
yeah.
I'd love to have multiple people.
Well,
in
you got me
different
on
fields
Instagram,
every
you
year.
got my
Yeah,
number
yeah,
and everything,
got your
so.
number. Be badass. So give everybody where they can find you.
Well, on Instagram, my personal Instagram is David Goos and then the number 8.
That's not with an E.
Not with an E.
There's no-
Goos.
Yeah, there's no E on
no
Goose.
E. Goose without the E. So David Goos and then the number 8. And then my company is going to be just Goose Brand.
Goose brand. All
Yep.
one word.
All
When
one
do you want to
word.
launch that? What's
coming here
what's the one?
soon.
Do it.
It's coming here soon.
Don't drag your feet.
Trust
bro.
me, why do you think I asked when you were going to post this thing?
Don't drag your feet, bro.
We're going to do it.
I'll do whatever I can to promote you. It's kind of one of the main reasons I designed
Hey,
this
I got
podcast.
your address now. I'll send
Yeah.
you some stuff.
You know what's weird? I wanted to bring this up because it's hilarious. I remember Joe mentioned you, and I was like, "What? His real name's Goose?" So I'd forgotten all about that. But my daughter ran into you.
Yeah,
somewhere.
she came out. Somehow she knew one of my good buddies, Mike, or maybe her friend knew Mike or something. But she was out at the Clearwater Sandbar party.
Yeah.
And then we just got talking. She's like, "Oh, my dad's really into that, and he runs a podcast." I'm like, "Podcast?" I'm like, "What's his name?" And then she said, I'm like, "Oh, like literally, my buddy Joe Heinz was on there, and he mentioned my name, and your dad was like, "Oh, is his last name really Goose?" So that
She
kinda just
texted me.
worked
She's
out.
like, "Do you know David Goose?" I'm like, I don't think so. And she's like, "Well, he said he was like you mentioned on the podcast." I'm like, "Oh wait, yeah, I remember that." She's like, "What the heck? I'm in the middle of nowhere, and these people know my dad. Like, this is so weird."
Heck yeah.
She used to always get mad at me anyways because, like, when she was in high school, she'd bring her friends over, and she's like, I swear my friends only want to hang out here because they think you're cool.
Right?
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but sorry.
That can't be a bad thing.
No,
I mean, come on.
I think it's hilarious because she's like, what the heck? She was like, that's so weird. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and randomly somebody knows my dad.
There is no middle of nowhere if there's geese, man.
Well, that too.
Everybody's chasing the goose.
Selfishly, hopefully, this podcast takes off enough where she can't go anywhere without somebody knowing me.
Heck yeah, dude. Hey, I'll come yap
great.
On about goose hunting.
No, so when you
vegans
officially
and stuff.
launch this thing,
Absolutely.
get a hold of me. We'll have you on again so we can tell people to, and we should hunt together. We should figure out a time. We'll
For sure.
get together. I'll holler at
sure.
you if I got a hot field, and
Right on.
holler back.
Or it would be fun to get like me, Nick, Jay, you, Joe, get the whole
That
crew
would be
together
absurd.
and just smash them, man.
That'd be absurd.
I've hunted with Joe. I've hunted with all those guys.
I haven't hunted with Joe
multiple
yet.
times.
Party with Joe, which is
Well, who hasn't
is
partied
an
with
event
Joe?
in and of itself.
Come to a calling contest.
I do. I need to.
You want to party with
I
goose
need to.
callers that
Yeah.
drink a lot? Go to a goose calling contest. Dude, my first contest, I remember we were at the bar, and there were people just, I'm not going to name any names,
Yeah.
but just hitting it hard. And my buddy Lucas Adamski,
love
he's been
it.
a great mentor to me and everything. He's like, David, welcome to the hunting industry.
Welcome to the club, pal.
Welcome to the club, pal.
That's outstanding. All right, Dave, let's shut this thing down, and really appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Thanks for having me on,
Yeah,
man.
let's
It's been
do
a
it again.
pleasure. It's been awesome.
All right, later.